Hello everyone, how's it going? Alright, so I'm starting a little early. I thought I would play a video of Pete's making, gonna make some meatloaf before we get into it. Alright, into Foodie's childhood stories. Hi Scapegoat.
Made a meatloaf and thought of me.
I'm going to make my meatloaf. Meatloaf is one of my favorite comfort foods, and Pete's, I think it's one of his favorite foods ever. Alright guys, so here it is, the finished product, my meatloaf. I have an American-Canadian craft single on the meatloaf.
The expiration date? 24th, so it is past the expiration date. Yeah, throw it out.
Gross.
This one's also the 24th, but it's been in the freezer for the past few days. I put it in the fridge last night. Breadcrumbs, get the breadcrumbs out. Oh yeah, it's still good. Until August 2023. Woo! Eggs. Grab an onion.
That was a quick wash.
This one works fine, honestly.
Quick wipe to dry off.
I imagine I will need some sort of dish for mixing in the meatloaf.
Maybe.
Do I have anything good for that? Give me a second. I don't think I have a mixing dish. Mixing bowl. The hell did Chantal mix stuff in? The hell? I don't have an actual mixing bowl. How did Chantal mix stuff? Alright, I don't know how likely I am to use, to actually use this thing, so I'll just mix it in this shit, I guess.
So much contamination here, cross-contamination. The meat, watch. Oh! Right on the chair. The face. Oh man.
Didn't defrost as much as I would have hoped.
Oh.
These are actually smaller than I thought, but I did pick up some mini loaf pans. These honestly feel like they'd be like the perfect size for like a personal meatloaf. Honestly. Haven't turned the oven on yet.
It was a quick rinse, but at least he probably got the
Stick that meat in the microwave. Yeah, I probably should.
pieces of
It
meat
is a little bit on the cold side still, so yeah, I think I'll defrost it.
off his hands. Oh man, it's microwaving it. Can't be good for it.
I'll just toss it in the in there for a couple minutes.
I really would like to see some soap being used, but that's alright. Oh man.
Alright. I should have looked up the recipe of how you make meatloaf. I'm assuming that right now what I do is break the egg and put the egg in and mix it all together, right? That'd be the step I would do here. Meatloaf seasoning. Or wait, so what would be the order doing it? Would I season the meat first, or would I do the egg first? The meat's still cold. Seasoning first? I'll put some ketchup on top of it. Feels like a lot of... Actually, it's got the, it says milk, but I'm not putting milk in there. Oh, apparently I'm supposed to... This one says mix everything and then add the beef. This actually says to add the beef after mixing all the other ingredients. Oops. Too late to change now. I have never broken an egg before. I've literally never broken an egg before.
Broken or cracked? Is this the first time we're gonna watch him crack an egg open?
So...
Oh. He did it.
I think I actually didn't do too bad there. Just one egg, right? Wash hands.
Yeah, you should probably wash your hands. Wash, rinse, whatever.
I don't actually like eggs. Would be about the right amount of,
Well, it makes sense that he doesn't... Well, it makes sense that he's never cracked an egg before. He doesn't like them. Eggs.
I think, is that enough breadcrumbs or
And then one cracked egg.
more breadcrumbs? I have no idea how much breadcrumb I put in. Onion. Ziploc bag over my hand because it's gross. Where are my Ziploc baggies? Do I not have Ziploc baggies? Could have sworn I had Ziploc baggies. Gotta have a baggie somewhere. Apparently I don't have Ziploc baggies.
So he's going in with his bare hands.
Alright. Spoon or fork?
I feel like he's trying this first.
Oh, I didn't add the Worcester sauce yet. Let me get the Worcester out. Worcester.
So far, not a bad idea doing it with the fork.
Garlic powder is actually a good idea. Where did I put the garlic powder? There, I put the garlic powder. Just a small bit of garlic powder. With the amount of beef I've got in here, I wonder if maybe another egg would work. Another egg?
Oh,
Alright. I'll also need to decide what to do with the potato.
oh no!
Okay, that one didn't break nearly as nicely.
He's got like egg yolk in his hand.
Still pretty sure I didn't get any egg,
No shells? If there is, he probably wouldn't have taken them out anyway.
I'm pretty sure I still didn't get any of the shell in the loaf, though. So I'll probably just glaze it with the ketchup. This is so gross. At least I find this sort of thing so gross. I don't know if I can use my hands to mix this.
That's why he gets Chantal to cook it. I think this is loosely based on Chantal's recipe.
Like, it's gross. It's the texture would gross me out, I think.
Oh man.
Certain textures, it's just like, ew, gross. I haven't heated the oven yet. The oven heats up really fast, so I'm not really worried. What temperature would the oven go at? 350. Either
Like, it's a good thing it's just him and Chantal who live in this house.
350 or 375. The internet can't agree either. Scooping it. Just scooping it in here. Because it's less gross. There. Perfect. And give me a second, I'm just gonna put this in the sink with some hot water. Wait for the water to get hot, because it takes forever for the water to get hot in this place.
Oh my god, so the whole time he's been washing his hand with cold water. Rinsing his hands with cold water.
That beep, that's the oven already heated. It really takes very little time for the oven to heat. All right. Bear in mind, actually, these are small. Like, it's two small ones rather than one big one. Would that affect the cooking time? Ketchup and brown sugar on top? Do I do that now or do that in a bit? When I was very, very quickly looking, it seemed to indicate that you put the sauce on after. Put it on top now? Shit. Do I have brown sugar? Do the ketchup and brown sugar after it cooks for a while? Okay. I'll let it cook for like half an hour. Baking sheet under the... suppose I could.
What is happening?
Alright, come to think of it, I don't know if I actually have brown sugar. I meant to look up a recipe earlier, and I just completely fucking forgot. 6:43, so around 7:15, I'll take them out. I was trying to decide what to do with the potatoes. The traditional thing, I think, would be like some mashed potatoes. Did I pick up butter? Yes, I did order butter. I'm kinda lazy, so what I'm honestly thinking is just tossing it in the microwave. Just toss one in the microwave for 4 or 5 minutes. Boom, done. Baked potato in the microwave, like that's what it is. I have microwave potatoes before. Are they great? They're potatoes. I am very lazy. Poke it with a fork. Cut it open, put some butter on it, mash the butter in, done. I feel like 4.5
I've done that before.
minutes on high would probably be perfect. Heinz ketchup.
It's the only ketchup.
Okay, somebody mentioned draining, and I think they might be right.
Uh-oh. He's not looking too sure about these.
Give me a second here. Yeah, I think draining might be necessary.
Whoa. Gross.
Damn it, I can't get a good grip on them with this thing. They're too hot to lift.
Put them back in the oven.
Did get... No, that's not gonna work.
No, you'd spill it everywhere.
This...
Oh, okay, well, let's just use the fork.
Ah, crap. It was out long enough that it started to congeal. So fucking hot. Damn, they're so goddamn hot. If it turns out bad, I'll just fucking order something. Temperature's still 350. I'll bump it up to 375.
Sam. Heard me.
Only take a couple minutes to get... Already there. So fast to get there. Like, that oven heats up so fast, it's cool. Well, if this ain't gonna be the smallest baked potato ever.
Oh my god, please don't say you're gonna eat one potato that size. Well, I guess he's got lots of meatloaf to go with it. It's a pretty small potato.
Do I have a meat thermometer? I do have a meat thermometer. I have a meat thermometer. It has no batteries. Looks like it's dead. What do you think? Does that look done? Looks raw.
Oh, gross. Oh no.
Looks done.
What if I get?
Looks cooked.
Oh my god, he's gonna eat it.
Meatloaf.
Half cooked meatloaf. Oh, gross.
Seems okay.
He eats it.
Yeah, seems okay.
I wonder if he ate the whole thing over the next couple days. Or if one of them got thrown out. Since he did have 2 of them made. Not sure about the potato yet.
Yeah, it tastes like meatloaf. Could be better. It's not terrible. Not awful. It is edible. 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 get some butter for my potato. Just heating up my knife on top of the potato, make it easier to cut the butter. Okay, that's more butter than I needed.
It's a good one.
The meatloaf is okay. Not that better.
A little trick with the butter and the knife.
Never too much butter. All right, and now I'm going up to my room to eat. I know I can eat at the counter, but I don't know. I prefer eating at my computer. I'm more comfortable that way. Yes, I did turn the oven off.
Chantal's spot in the kitchen at the counter. Okay, so that's the end of that one. Now, we're on to Chantal and her childhood stories. All right, get ready for this. First, she's going to talk about her childhood here in the 80s, and then we're going to get into her other stories. It's just kind of like an overview. Here we go.
I was born in 1984. My early childhood was in the 80s, but a lot of the influence carried on into the early 90s. Family meals I remember having in the 80s were like meatloaf. Alright guys, so here it is, the finished product. My meatloaf. I have an American Canadian craft single on the meatloaf.
The expiration date? 24th, so it is past the expiration date.
And Sloppy Joe with some melted cheese. This is not just any cheese, this is St. Albert's cheese, which is from a dairy farm that makes cheese not too far from here, about an hour from where I am. So if you're in the local area, St. Albert supplies cheese to various grocery stores, etc. You can go to the factory and get cheese. Oh, the cheese is good. I remember a lot of snack food. Like a ton of new snack foods were coming out in the 80s.
You could tell the background from the last part, the Sloppy Joe. She's living with BB, so it's one of her earlier videos.
So much happened in the 80s. The Nintendo, come on! The original Nintendo. I remember playing that when Super Mario 3 came out. And Duck Hunt. Oh man, Duck Hunt infuriated me. I blame my current anger issues on Duck Hunt. That dog mocking you for missing. Now, the 80s, of course, like any decade, had a dark side. For instance, in the 80s, this whole yuppie persona.
The dark side.
Very consumer-driven, materialistic type of person. Or the kind of guy in John Hughes movies that Molly Ringwald would be attracted to. The whole Wall Street, materialistic kind of guy. It's a very shallow existence. On the outward appearance, you're so put together. Everything is materialistic and perfect. On the inside, you're empty. I like John Hughes movies. Those were big in the 80s. Pretty in Pink, The Breakfast Club, St. Elmo's Fire. One thing I love most about the 80s, and I'm so thankful that the 80s brought us, definitely not the hair, is the 80s horror genre. Nightmare on Elm Street, Jason. I think Halloween was late 70s. The Shining, Basket Case, Sleepaway Camp, Night of the Demons, those campy, wonderful horrors. Love it. Was never big on political history. I don't follow politics very well. There's a lot of things politically, a lot of things happen in the 80s. I'm more interested in the pop culture, the music. I love 80s music. The more synthesizer, the better. 80s rock, hair metal. Grew up listening to Appetite for Destruction, Guns N' Roses. But the thing I remember most, my mom had a CD cabinet in the wall unit, and I used to comb through them, listen to them, and I took her Madonna Immaculate collection to my room. I don't think she ever saw it again. She never asked for it. I used to lock myself in my room and just play it and make my own music videos. Get into the groove, boy, you've got to prove your love to me, yeah. Girl, you'll be a woman soon. Please, come take my hand.
True, that is no Prince Charming, but there's something in him that I simply didn't see.
Don't you forget about me. Don't. Little town, it's a quiet village, every day like the one before. Little town, full of little people, waking up to say bonjour. Oh, hello. Hello. Hey guys, what's up? Feeling groovy. Because you can't
That's what she did when she was 9.
think of the 80s without thinking of Madonna. I mean, she had her own style going on. I've always idolized her and Tiffany. I think we're alone now. Cyndi Lauper. Hi! Duran Duran was my favorite. Tears for Fears, one of my biggest favorites. What's your favorite 80s song? Comment below. Aha, Take On Me, another iconic one. We can go where we want to. I have that song in my head. Safety Dance. Such a funny song.
We can dance, everybody look at your hands.
And video, the dance they do. Apparently Hot Pockets came out in the 80s as well. Hot Pockets. Diet Coke. Wash it all down. Yeah, in the 80s, a lot of fad diets emerged. Diet Coke would become popular because zero-calorie beverage. And they were focused a lot on low fat. Nowadays, we're focused on low sugar, low carb. Thank you for coming on this time trip with me. Back to the 80s. I try to find reasons for my love of food, and I can remember, like I said, I remember my first bag of chips and how it made me feel, but
I've heard her say that before, but I haven't found the clip, other than, I guess, this clip, but it's interesting that she remembers what her first chip, how it made her feel.
I remember being babysat by my grandmother on my dad's side, who's passed away, God rest her soul. But I used to love getting babysat by her because she was calm and gentle, and she never yelled or anything at me. Till one day, she used to make homemade meatballs. Oh my God, they were good, sweet and sour meatballs. She used to make me chicken nuggets with the Diana barbecue sauce and a Magic Moments vanilla pudding. Do you guys remember Magic Moments puddings? I don't know if you ever had those. I don't know if they have them anymore. I don't think so. Hold on.
Magic moments, savor every minute. Magic moments, the magic is.
Taste the magic of Canada's favorite pudding, the richest tasting of all. So special we had to call it Magic Moments.
Magic moments.
Magic Moments pudding. Magic the moment you taste it.
Chocolate pudding.
So, anyway, so she would make me that. I just loved it so much that one time kept asking for another pudding. Give me another pudding. And I kept asking for more pudding. And I was like young. I was probably like 5 or 6. And I remember the first time she ever raised her voice at me, she yelled at me. She's like, "No, c'est assez, Chantal." Like, that's enough, Chantal, you know? And then I remember her telling my mom she was very pesty for another pudding. And, you know, right then and there, I guess they could tell something wasn't right. I rode a short bus to take care.
Okay, so this is a little messy mukbang she did, but she talks about her daycare experience.
Remember that. And I used to get sick, like so car sick, and nobody wanted to sit beside me. So then I would go to school. It was like a nativity school or something like that. It was connected to a church. I went to French Catholic churches my whole life. They always were connected to a church because we would have to go to mass as part of our curriculum. And my mom found a sitter for me after school. The only thing I remember about this school, I think it was for grade 1 I went there, was having a chocolate milk every day. And the classmate Carlos. Every class has a delinquent kid. And this time it was Carlos. He was always so naughty and always in trouble. They made you sit in the corner. No dunce hat or anything, but it was really weird. I don't think they do that nowadays. I think that would be like against the law probably. People were strict back then. I feel so old. He was in the corner a lot. I'm pretty sure he started to graffiti the corner at some point. Send him to different corners and he would graffiti them. Good for you, man. Good for you. But he would like throw up all the time just randomly. I don't know if he did it like revenge puke or what, but you'd hear kids like, "Madame, Carlos a vomi partout par terre." Carlos puked everywhere. So that wasn't fun. Anyway, then after school I would go to this babysitter. I didn't know this lady. I think maybe she just knew my mom. I don't know. It's too hard to eat this thing. She was really nice. She had a husband who I was always really curious about because he spent all his time in the bedroom. And at that age, I didn't understand why. It was mysterious to me. So basically, sneak bathroom trips upstairs to get a peek. One time he caught me and he was like, "Hi." It was so nice. And I found out that he had no legs. So looking back today, he must have been really ill and just spent a lot of time in bed, which is really sad. He was such a nice man. She used to play Uno with me every day. She was so nice. They didn't have kids of their own. They deserved some because they were sweet people. She always used to make, man, this was comfort food after school when you're hungry and cold. It's like a tomato rice soup. I'm pretty sure it's just like tomato rice, but it was like really savory and stuck to the ribs and comforting. I feel so hungry.
I wonder if that was like an actual daycare, if she just, well, it seemed like it was only her there. I meant by daycare, like other kids around. Just Chantal.
Hungry for meat. Oh, here she comes. Watch out, boy, she'll chew you up. Oh, here she comes. She's a man-eater. Then after we moved again, I went to the elementary school that I stayed at till high school. Saint Croix, so Holy Cross, also attached to a school. But this one, I think the priest there, I think he was found to be a perv. Yeah, that's the one with the pervy priest. Oh man, that school. I told you guys some story times. Our principal would walk around with his arms behind his back and his stogie sticking out of his mouth, a cigar car, and my teacher was named Sœur Louise, like Sister Louise. She was a nun. She was nice. We had to study catechism, catechese. Things were so different back then. Like, honestly. Okay, I'm done. I'm like so done. I'm full.
Things were so different back then. He was like a child.
In the towel. So anyways, I'm just going to talk randomly about my life whenever I can. Today, I'm going to talk about guardian angels. Do you guys believe in guardian angels?
This is an interesting story because it includes her father too.
Angels. And the reason I want to talk about this is because I honestly think I have guardian angel. I want to tell you guys about a couple of times when I think I had encounters with my guardian angel. Now, sure, you could explain it away, but where's the fun in that? The first time was when I was really young. My mom had gotten back together with my dad, and it was winter, and we were driving on the highway. I don't remember what kind of car, or if it was a car or a truck, I don't remember. All I remember is my dad was driving, I was in the middle seat. Like, nowadays in cars, there doesn't seem to be a middle seat, I don't know. And my mom was in the passenger. My dad, not very bright thing to do, but he was fixated on the radio. I'm finding a good station. And he didn't look up at the road. The next thing I remember is my mom telling my dad, look out! And then we swerved off the road into like a small ravine. And I just remember...
I think I just noticed that she's got bows on both of her ring fingers.
We're like just sitting there, absolutely calm, almost like
I thought it would just be one, but there's one on each.
I was outside of myself. I didn't react, and our car flipped a few times, and it ended up upside down. I remember my mom freaking out because I couldn't get out, because I couldn't get out of my belt. It was like jammed or something. It wouldn't release. I just remember, like, you know, my mom freaking out. It seemed like forever. I think my dad was trying to get help. I don't know why, but like nobody was coming to help us. It seemed like forever. I don't know if it was like a highway or a deserted stretch of road, but I don't know. We were in the snow. All of a sudden, I
think you can see BB's shadow in the background.
see these two legs, and it was like jeans. I didn't ever see the person's face. It was like a man. They had like jeans, and they had like, I remember them wearing like cowboy boots, but the memory isn't a reliable thing, so maybe they were just boots. I don't know, but that's what my memory tells me, was like cowboy boots. I remember him saying he had a knife, and my dad cut me out of the car. So I always remember that person. Like, they just seemed really helpful, and like when they were around, I remember just feeling like calm and like everything was gonna be okay. Like, I just remember feeling like this person, even though I couldn't see their face, was a very kind soul. Like, I just felt like love from this person. I don't know, it's a really weird feeling. I'm sure you'll say probably just a trucker driving by, but I always remembered that person. So to me, he was a guardian angel because he saved me from getting out of that car. Another time, I was really, really sick. I had bad food poisoning. My mom had cooked a bad batch of pepper steak. She didn't notice it was spoiled. At least that's what we assume, but I don't know if any of they got, I don't remember if they got sick. Anyway, this is when I was like younger too. I was so sick. Like, I don't want to be TMI, but I thought I was dying. I thought I was gonna have to go to the hospital. I was so sick. I was in so much pain. The pain was what was the worst. It was excruciating in my stomach. I remember laying in bed at night and like hardly being able to take the pain. Thought I'm just gonna try praying. So I prayed and prayed and prayed and prayed, like really concentrated. Prayed to take the pain away. And then like, I was actually surprised about this, but I like kind of opened my eyes. I don't know if I was like half delirious from the pain. It was dark in my room, and it just seemed like kind of like a whitish fog kind of just like sat on the end of my bed. Somehow this feeling of absolute like warmth, and again that love feeling, just like washed over me, and the pain went away. I'm not kidding. I'm not making this up. I don't know.
Did she just make a deal with the devil?
Those are the two instances. Those are the two instances when I think that something special happened. I can't be 100% affirmative because these things are still a mystery to us as human beings. However, in my heart, I felt that somebody was looking after me. Something I can't explain. So anyways, guys, thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye! When I'm going to tell you guys story times, I have to really think, you know, things that happened in my life, things you might want to hear. I don't know if you really want to hear what I'm about to tell you, but I remember it, and it was like really weird. Basically, there used to be a strange man that lived, I don't know if he lived, but he frequented the in-between space of our house. Okay, here's the story. When I was younger, I was pretty young because I was learning my phone number. I remember rehearsing it with my uncle on the couch. He was trying to teach it to me. And we still have the same phone number. My mom does to this day. I was probably 6 or 7, and we lived in a duplex home. And the homes had maybe 3 feet of space in between them. It wasn't in a good part of town. It was in the worst part of town you could live in, but that's where the rent's cheap, right? You want to live in a good part of town? You have to have a job. You have to make money. You have to have good credit, which is understandable. There's a 3-foot space. It was always dark and dim. The light barely penetrated it.
She doesn't have any of those at age 6.
Ever. And it was dump, literally. It was full of garbage bags. People just dumped their garbage there. I remember seeing old needles. Total biohazard. There was always black garbage bags full of maggots. I remember my friend and I would go there and we were curious and we would poke things. And I remember poking the garbage bags and there would be maggots just, ugh. Sorry, I always forget to warn you. This is a gross story. Welcome to my channel. And for some reason, there was always a whole bunch of fish heads. Smelly, gross fish heads. That 3-foot space smelled bad. My bedroom, of course, was conveniently located facing this space. We were on the top apartment, so when I would look down, I would see this space and the fish heads and everything. Well, one day, it wasn't long after we moved there. We moved a lot when I was young. I was resting. The background on why I was resting, I don't know if I should say this. Sometimes when I'm telling a story and I come to a part that's totally messed up and I don't think I should tell you, I only think of it last minute. I'm like, oh damn, but now I have to tell you for the story to make sense, I guess. When I was young, I went through a phase where I just didn't want to poop. So I didn't. I just didn't want to. I don't know why. I got sick, really sick from doing that. But I went like a week, maybe more. I can't remember exactly how long, but it was a long time without pooping. So I wasn't feeling good. I had a stomach ache, and my mom knew what I was doing. I was still at the age where your parents are monitoring how much you're going. I better put a disclaimer at the beginning of the video. You're usually grossed out. One early evening, I used to go to bed when the sun was still out in the summer. Mom! I had a stomach ache, naturally, right? A little backed up. So I remember the window was open a little bit. And I remember hearing rummaging and like a kind of noise, you know? It scared the crap out of me. I was like, what the hell? So I looked out the window and I looked down and there was this man. He looked dirty, had rubber boots. I remember these big blue rubber boots, greasy, dirty. Just looked like a stereotypical homeless person. He looked like Patat. Long, gray, scraggly beard, like Enter Sandman.
We'll find out later that Patat is a guy who hangs out in her parking garage. I don't think he hangs out there, but she's seen him around a few times.
Nightmarish. That song used to scare me when I was a kid. Enter Sandman by Metallica. I was afraid to go to sleep at one point. I was a weird kid, and that's maybe why I'm weird today, but I used to not want to do things that your body needs to do. Like I one time didn't want to sleep, so I didn't for a little while. I didn't want to poop. I remember seeing child psychologists. Imagine a child psychologist or psychiatrist was like, ma'am, there's nothing wrong with your kid medically. She's just weird. I wonder if they ever say that. Imagine. That's a story for another time. I remember seeing this guy. It was a long time ago, but I just remember seeing him there often, rummaging through stuff. He'd just be walking around. Sometimes he would hunch over and just stay there for a bit. I remember once he did look.
Wondering how many times she saw a psychologist when she was younger. Maybe that's, well, I was thinking maybe that's why she doesn't really like going to talk to people, which I don't think she does, but I think she was trying to for a while there. Because she was trying to do weight loss surgery, I think, but anyway.
Look up at me, and I was like, you know, but he didn't do anything. He didn't stare. He just kept doing what he was doing. I wonder if I could visit that again when I go back to my hometown. Go show you guys some fish heads. Who wants to see fish heads? Comment below. I don't know if the fish heads are still there, but it's like, why? I don't know what the hell was with that little alleyway. Maybe it was an alleyway. No, it wasn't even an alley. It was just like the space between the two houses. It was absolutely disgusting and vile. I mean, there was so much garbage and decay in that aisle. I probably thought once or twice, like, maybe the guy's a garbage man, literally a baby byproduct of this garbage. You know how they say it's so moldy, it's growing life? I mean, who knows? My mom always gave me shit. Don't look down there. Well, don't put my bedroom there then. Hard to fall asleep when you're in bed trying to dream of My Little Pony and the faint scent of fish heads is wafting through the open window. That almost sounds poetic, doesn't it?
The sun's still up because she's going to bed too early.
I just thought of that guy for some reason. One time a cop pulled my mom over. And my mom is like 4'9". She's not very big, you know. I appreciate what cops do, but don't abuse your power. You know, if you're like 6'2", huge and muscle-bound cop, you don't need to like yell at my mom, okay? She went through a yellow light. It's one of those things that it's hard. Sometimes your judgment's off. Like, did you have time to stop? You know what I mean? He pulls her over. I'm in the passenger seat and I'm younger. I'm a fearless kid. Even back then I was running my mouth. He's like, you didn't see the light turn yellow? Just being an arrogant P-R-I-C-K. And she's like, you're right, I'm sorry. I didn't think I had enough time to stop safely. What do you mean? You had a lot of time. He was like yelling at her. So I was like, hey.
The way she's talking out of the corner of her mouth because she's eating. As the cop is
Don't effing yell at my mom. My mom was so mad at me for doing that. She just ignored me and gave her a ticket. Probably because of me. I was like so angry.
Whenever I was a kid, I used to love these old cartoons. I'm still like this today, but when I was young too, I used to rewatch cartoons and shows that I like over and over and over, you know, until the tape got warped. Like Porky Pig. Like old, like I don't know if they're from the 30s or what. Some of them were black and white. One was about a flea, and he was on a dog, and he had like, you know, like you see in cartoons back then, hitchhikers had like that pole with like the red sack at the end. Well, this was a flea with that hitchhiking bag, and he would sing, "Food around the corner, food around the corner, food around the corner for me."
You know I went and found it.
La 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 la, and then bite the dog.
Oh, there's food around the corner, food around the corner, food around the corner for me. Food around the corner for me. Hallelujah, brother. Food around the corner, food around the corner for me.
And it was like this big dramatic cartoon between the dog and the flea. There was another cartoon. It was a whole bunch of vegetables, like anthropomorphic vegetables, which means like human-like. There was this like bandit. He stole one of the carrot's babies, and the carrot was like, "Oh, my babies!"
Okay, this one was weird, but we're gonna watch it.
With, like the wavy flailing arms.
Has anyone actually seen this before, this video? I haven't.
And there was a cop. He was an egg, and he hit the other egg in the head with the baton, police baton, and was like, "You hard-boiled."
Crack down on him, boys. So you're a tough egg, eh? We'll soften you. We'll crack you wide open.
Yeah, the yoke's on you, guys. I'm hard-boiled.
And so the bandit like made him fall in the frying pan, and he was like,
We'll make short order of this guy. Sunny side up.
Come on, boys. Turn on that heat. Come on, give it to him.
She's getting some of the details right. She's doing all right from just from memory. They're interrogating the egg, trying to find the bandit.
anyway. What kind of kid show is actually still better than the ones that are out today?
Alright, so we had to find out who the bandit was.
Here we go now. 1, 2, and in you go.
Now look where we are. So where did it get it?
You're telling me this fault, this fault.
All right. So it's my fault. You want to make something out of it?
Oh, what are you, man or mouse, you rat?
I'll kick your teeth
Yeah,
in.
but he is
I'll lick your whole finger.
Yeah, you and who else?
I'll mobilize you.
The two ones out today are la 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 la. You know what kid show is so annoying? Caillou. Do you guys know who Caillou is? Whiniest brat to ever exist. My sister used to watch that. And Caillou, you're annoying. I used to watch Blue's Clues with my sister. I wonder what the host from Blue's Clues is up to now. The guy Steve.
We were at the park one day and these snotty kids I was in war with at the time. They didn't like me for some reason and they just picked on me. People don't always have to have a valid reason not to like you. These kids did not like me and I really did nothing. I was just at the park. We're at the park, my grandma's there. And my grandma used to be big. She lost a lot of weight. The snotty kid was like, your grandma's fat. And she heard it. Looked at my fist. Don't you ever call my grandma fat again or I'll punch you in the nose. When I was a kid, my grandma took me to the park and some kid had the nerve to come up to me and say your grandma's fat.
So the story is a little different this time.
I kicked him in the nuts very hard. I was young, you know, so I didn't know that being kicked in the nuts hurt, boys. Yeah, I'm sorry for cringing if you're a guy and you're watching this. I'm sorry. So the dad had to explain to me that the boy's sensitive area and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, oh, you know, like, well, I called my grandma fat. And we both ended up apologizing. He apologized to my grandma. I apologized to him. I know I should have never kicked him, but I don't know. It was just really crazy. Crazy. Who does that? Your grandma's fat. Whack. Now that I think about it, could have really hurt the poor little guy. So the lesson is don't make fun of my grandma.
She did more than threaten to beat him up. She kinda did.
So I was with my mom alone for a while. Her and my dad split.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so yeah, it's a mess here, but that's why it's sped up, so we don't have to look at the mayo on her face.
She was young, so eventually she's gonna want a boyfriend, right? And naturally, you're getting all your mom's attention as a young one, you don't want to share it. So eventually my mom got a boyfriend. We did not like each other. His name was Sticks. That's what everyone called him. Thought he was cool. He wanted to be a rock star. And this guy, he was obsessed with the band Styx. So the band
So at this point, she's telling a story about when she's quite young. I'd say probably around 6 or 7, just because she's talking about how her mom's trying to date, and then she talks about how she has a stepfather later when she's younger. So I'm assuming this is like her early years.
Styx is the band that sings that song there. Here I am, rocked you like a hurricane. I think they also sing Mr. Roboto. Domo arigato, Mr. Roboto. Domo. I think. I could be wrong. Yeah, I remember one day walking through a field with my mom. We moved back to my hometown. Had an apartment. Oh, Fry. Hello. Don't escape. This guy, Styx, he rides up on a motorbike. I just remember motorbike and his helmet, his 80s metal hair flying in the wind. You know how like their metal bands in the 80s had like beautiful, luscious hair, like nicer than women's hair? Well, he was balding and frizzy. I was young, I was 6. He comes over, asked my mom out. Unfortunately, she said yes. He didn't live with us or anything, but he would stay over a lot. She broke up with him, and this is why. He called me a sucker. And you're probably thinking that's so traumatic, but I find it kind of funny. Who does that? Maybe I did this on purpose so she would break up with him, but one day he was on the couch. My mom was curling her hair 80s style. He was practicing his singing. He was singing a Styx song. For my age, I love that music, and I knew all the words because I used to lock myself in my bedroom. I would sing and pretend I'm in the music videos, and I loved Styx. They also sing, come sail away, come sail away, come sail away with me. Oh, this is a big burger. So he's singing. He messes up the words so bad. For somebody who loves that band, really can't get the words right. So he was messing up pretty bad. So I said, in my snotty kid voice, that's not how it goes, you know, dum-dum. Well, it hit a sore spot, and he said, I'll sing it how I want, you little cocksucker. So what did I do? Ran to the bathroom. Mom, Styx called me a cocksucker.
Who says that to a 6-year-old? It's horrible.
And she flipped out and broke up with him. I'm sure being a single mom is not easy, so shout out to all you single mothers out there.
I suppose this is a Halloween special. She told a lot of scary stories during Halloween, so I used one of these childhood stories. And I worked so hard on the intro, I thought I'd show it again.
Oh my god.
Yeah, fucking eat people.
You know what I was watching? Alice in Wonderland, like the old Disney movie. My favorite part, it was the stoned caterpillar. A-E-I-O-U. I was singing it to Sammy. I was going, A-E-I-O-U. That reminded me, my mom used to put that show on over and over again when I was a kid. I would watch it like day in, day out. Every time I see that now, it reminded me of a story when I was just a kid. I was with my mom alone. It was nighttime, probably not long before I got to go to bed. I never wanted to go to bed. I always made a fuss. It bought me a little bit more time. I was a brat. It's important to note in the background that recently on the news, there was this crazy guy on the loose. I heard my mom talking about it with her friend. I don't know if he was crazy, but he apparently was like a criminal and he escaped from the mental health ward. I was eating hard-boiled eggs. Ugh. I don't know why my mom sliced up hard-boiled eggs for me, but I don't like them now really that much. I don't remember really liking them back then. I don't know, maybe we didn't have much food or something. So I'm eating my eggs.
Baby's hanging out in the background.
Watching Alice in Wonderland. AEIOU's going in the background. All of a sudden, we hear this loud knock at the door. My mom, she was just talking to her friend on the phone about this escapee, maniac on the loose. And bang, bang, bang. I just remember being so terrified. I know this is weird, but as a kid, I remember thinking in my head, please just let us be okay. Don't let us get murdered by this maniac. I'll eat all the boiled eggs in the world, I promise. Cartoon's still going. Mom kind of just like turned down the volume. She's like, shh, come here. The fact that she was scared me, What do you do when your protector is scared? Don't answer it. I kept knocking and knocking. Then all of a sudden we hear a person saying my mom's name. My mom looked relieved and she went and looked in the peephole and answered the door. And to our relief, it was Mr. LeBlanc. Mr. LeBlanc is this hermit guy who lived downstairs. He had pet squirrels. He just like kept to himself a lot and lived by himself, but he got along well with my mom.
I like how she describes him. It's coming.
My mom just got one of those personalities, And she would bring him like homemade turkey and rice soup when she made it. We were relieved that, okay, it's not the maniac guy, but here's the twist. Comes in, stays at the door. I remember making eye contact with Mr. LeBlanc when he came in. I remember seeing kind soul. You could just look in someone's eyes and tell they're kind-hearted. You know who he reminded me of? He looked like Steve Buscemi. Very bookish fellow. And he's like, I just wanted to check on you. The police were on their way because that maniac guy was seen roaming around our building. And that was creepy, knowing that he was there and that someone was pounding at our door before we knew it was Mr. LeBlanc. When I saw that Alice in Wonderland, it brought me back to that time. My mom and I have been through a lot together, that's for sure. I wonder what Mr. LeBlanc is up to. Anyways, guys, I really, really appreciate you watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. See you later. Bye, guys. I was talking with my mom the other day and we were talking about my dad's mom, my grandmother. She passed away a few years ago and so did my grandfather on that side. I was talking to my mother about my grandmother, about how she used to babysit me and stuff. It made me think of the home she used to live in. I remember when I was younger and I'd be there and my aunt would be there, her daughter, and she'd
I think we have a couple ghost stories.
tell her, oh, I heard it again in the basement. She'd tell her things that she heard or saw. And my aunt would just brush them off as, oh, you're just being silly, Mom. You're hearing things, or you know what I mean? When I got older and I was there one day visiting, she told me a couple of things that happened to her in that home. The home was an older duplex. I don't know, maybe built in the 80s. I don't know. Somebody lived upstairs and she lived on the bottom. There's the front door and then around the side there's a side door. We would always go in on the side door. When you first walk in, on your left there would be a door going up to her kitchen, and on your right, stairs going down into the basement. And the way the wall in front was, there was a wall and then there's like a little bottom piece where you could see into the basement. The basement was just always pitch dark.
Are you picturing it?
It was your typical creepy, dark, unfinished basement. The only thing she went down there for was laundry. I personally have never gone down there. I think as human beings, I mean, we all know that we all have the ability to trust our gut instincts. And every time I would enter the home and look briefly for those moments, years and years of looking briefly at that dark basement, I always got the same feeling when I would enter that home, that almost like the feeling you would get in a funeral home. You ever get that? I don't know how to explain it. It's just a feeling I get. So her apartment was a 3-bedroom. She had her bedroom. There was always something odd about the apartment on like a construction level. I don't know. The bedrooms were all on the same side of the wall. Bing, bang, boom. Her bedroom gave me a weird feeling. The middle bedroom where I used to stay was all right. It was my aunt's old bedroom. And in the furthest bedroom, the spare room, I really don't remember what they kept in that room. There was a big bed with like, it was a huge bed with a really old-fashioned headboard. And that room was just always so freezing compared to the rest of the house. And
Do you think that's to save on heat? Because you probably aren't going to want to heat up a room you're not using? Or is it just ghostly?
she just didn't want me to go in there. She always kept the door closed, but once in a while I would sneak. One day, shortly after her husband had passed away, my grandfather, it was French. My mom used to call him Bon because he'd always say bon, which means like all right kind of thing in English. It's a French saying. I remember sitting at the table with my grandmother after he had passed away, and she was talking about him, and she told me that she saw him. He came to her. She was in bed in the bedroom, and she just saw him just walk across the room. He was see-through, and she just saw him walk across the room, and she just said it so calmly. Whenever grieving loved ones hear of or see loved ones after passing, my skeptical mind questions those things, because the mind is a powerful thing, and what if we're hallucinating things? It's just our way of trying to deal with grief, closure, or something. I don't know what the deal is. It's mysterious, but that's what she told me. And then another night he came to her and told her he was all right, he was in heaven, and he loved her. Her other daughter, my other aunt, said shortly after he passed away, she was driving alone in the car, and in the rear view mirror in the back seat she saw a halo. Again, is it the mind? Who knows what it is? is, right? There's still no explanation for that after all these years in the history of humanity. The afterlife is something that obviously is still very enigmatic to us. That wasn't so bad. But then she told me about the basement story. You know, one thing led to another and we started on the topic of ghosts, you know, and I said, Grandma, remember when I was younger and you were telling Aunt Anne about things that happened to you? Can you tell me some of those things? I'm interested. She didn't want to scare me and I told her, I'm fine. I love this stuff. And I think one of the reasons I love this stuff is that it fascinates me to know that humans, we experience these things, but we don't know what they are. Because I'm so afraid of death, it kind of gives you hope that there's an afterlife and that we will be reunited with the people we love, because that comfort is important. The thought of never seeing somebody that you're so emotionally attached to. And this is really creepy. The basement story was she has to go down there to do the laundry, so she turns on the light and sucks it up. There's a whole bunch of shit down there. Boxes, old furniture, chairs. The washer's there, she said, and just across here in the corner, there was a chair. There was like a white cover over this chair. She looked at it and it kind of looked like a humanoid shape, like someone was underneath the cover sitting on the chair. She just shrugged it off as being like a heap of clothes or something underneath that made it look like that. While she was doing the laundry and had her back to the thing, always had that feeling in her gut that something wasn't right. So she finished putting the laundry in the wash, started the machine, went to walk away and just had to look. She took one last look, looked back, and the heap was gone. There was just the cover on the chair, covering the chair, but no humanoid lump. That would freak the fuck out of me. When she told me that, I got chills. I enter the house on the side door anymore. I know there's some people who probably don't enjoy watching, and that's fine. I'm doing these videos for people who love it. Please subscribe. Bye. Bing, bang, boom. Maybe I'm just scared of basements. Ever since I was young, and to this day, I have this reoccurring dream about this one basement at this apartment I used to live in with my mom and stepdad when I was 6. I don't know why that basement is always in my dream. It was kind of unfinished, and there was an area that was so dark. It had like pillars, like pipes, and you could never see beyond those pipes because it was dark. So there's a lot of room for things to lurk in there. You know what I mean? Like, kind of always creep me out. Hi guys, foodie, 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 beauty. I have so many things I want to talk about. I get inspired.
All right, so the next story is her first date.
By these random suggestion on Facebook who I should add as friends. I was so floored when I saw that. One of the suggestions was this one guy, Richard. He was kind of like my first boyfriend ever. He was so weird. Richard. So I was a kid. I went to elementary school with him from kindergarten all the way to like grade 8. Richard looked like the kid from the Mad TV logo. Maybe not as goofy, but red hair, freckles. That's fine. I mean, he wasn't bad looking or anything. I mean, at that age, who cares? I thought all boys were gross at that age, except for JTT. So I don't know why, but this kid just had a huge crush on me for like the entire time we went to school. Well, actually, in the later grades, I think around grade 6, he got a girlfriend, a different one, so he started just kind of like not really caring about me. Every morning on the bus when you pick him up, and he lived in the rich part of town. His parents were loaded. His house had like 3 garages. It was like a 3-door garage, you know? He would come on the school bus, always sit right beside me. Now, the thing about me is when I was a kid, almost every other day I was barfing on the bus, and he would still want to sit beside me. Isn't that sweet? Remember when he asked me out on our first date? He asked me on the school bus in the morning if we could go to see The Lion King together. And I could
in between her throwing up.
hear kids snickering, you know, teasing and taunting. Richard and Chantal up in a tree. Kissing. I wish I was homeschooled. I said, I don't know. I have to ask my mom. You know, at that time, I didn't want to go, but I wanted to talk to my mom about it. So I went home after school. A side note, isn't after school time the best ever? I would get home. My mom would have like a grilled cheese ready for me. After school specials, usually starring Tori Spelling. I miss those days. So anyways, talk to my mom about it. It's like Napoleon Dynamite when that mom forces the girl to go out with Napoleon to the dance with him. She like forced me. I swear. She was like, just go, you know, you'll hurt his feelings. Thanks, Mom. So I went. We went to the theater. The theater in my hometown back then was really cool. It had like red carpet, had like pictures of Marilyn Monroe, Darth Vader. It just was decorated very well. I really miss that theater. It closed a long time ago. And the movies were cheap, you know? Back then you could go to the movies and have a popcorn and a drink for like under $10. Now it's over 20. We go to the movies and watch The Lion King. His dad is
way more than 20.
Weirder than he is. His dad was what freaked me out, and I can see Richard following in his footsteps. His dad's name was Conrad. He picked us up from the movies. Like, my mom dropped us off there, and the dad would drive us home. On the way home, I'll never forget this. You know how in the movie Elton John bolts out that, "Can you feel the love tonight?" I don't know if he was trying to be romantic, God bless his heart, but the whole way home, and I felt so uncomfortable, he would turn to me and he sang the song to me. He was like, "Can you feel?" And it just like, oh my God. I mean, I know you guys are gonna think that's sweet, but the creepy part is that his dad, Conrad, while Richard was singing, was driving, and he was just going, "Oh, that's nice, Richard. Oh, that's nice, Richard. That's real nice, Richard. Get me out of here." I mean, I did like him as a person, as a friend, but I just wasn't really into dating, and I just didn't like him that way. I don't know, I think at that age, parents find it cute when kids have little crushes or whatever. I didn't really hang out with him that much, but there was one time I went over for dinner at his place. His mom seemed relatively normal. He had a very beautiful teenage sister who, you know, of course, acted like she wanted nothing to do with him, kind of teased him in a way. At the dinner table, it was kind of uncomfortable because I just remember being fascinated. I had a humble upbringing, wasn't rich, and their place was like amazing. I did hear some things about Richard, how he is doing now, and he's actually got a lot of money too. He's got a really good job. He's got kids. Good for him. But he looks exactly like his dad. Like in this suggested friends on Facebook, I saw the little picture and he looks like Conrad. We're at the dinner table. I don't know, the dad was just kind of weird, like Richard too. I remember Richard just, oh my god, he was embarrassing, kind of just like, Chantal and I, we're gonna grow up and we're gonna have babies and we're gonna live in a beach house. Oh, and the dad the whole time was like, oh, lovely Richard. That's lovely, Richard. Every time I go on Facebook, which isn't that often anymore, they always suggest like people you may know. They suggest you to add people, and every time I see someone from my past, I'm just like, oh my god, the stories I have. I never kissed him. He wasn't my first kiss. I should tell you guys about that. My first kiss. This was probably in grade 1. Wasn't really thinking of boys too much. I had a friend in grade 1. When you're a kid, you're easily influenced, so I used to do what she would do. My first kiss came about that way. At recess, me and her used to flash the boys our underwear. And then one recess, she dared me to go up to this kid Matthew in our class and go up and kiss him. So I did. And I got in trouble because he told on me. He went up to the recess teacher and was like, Madame, Chantal matinée and busy. A little wuss. I'm kidding. So I got in trouble. And I had to say Hail Mary and Notre Père, our Father. Whatever. I have seen her since, actually. I'd say about 8 or 9 years ago. She was living in a bad neighborhood, poorer part of town. Like a housing project. And she had like 5 kids. I felt really bad for her. I feel really bad for her.
Hey guys, hey guys, hey. How are you? How are you? Welcome back to another mukbang with me, Foodie Beauty. Today I'm having a childhood favorite. Ever since Joe, thank you Joe, has mentioned that he was eating bologna. I really wanted bologna. I haven't had it in a long time. It also triggered a story time for me, so I'm going to be talking about that. But first things first, ice and Fentiman's root beer. Botanically brewed Old English root beer. Fentiman sodas are pricey, but they're so worth it, guys. Oh, I love root beer.
Alright, so this story is about her living with her mom again, and her mom helping out this lady and her kids. Chantal had to hang out with the kids.
Yeah. Okay. Hurry up. Anyways. You get the idea. I'll take a sip whenever it's... Maybe you have to pour it like an actual beer, like on a tilt. I don't know. I have thick cut
Canadian bacon, thick cut.
bologna sandwiches at the deli. I said, please cut it thick. And I have new nails, by the way. I have a deli pickle. So let's give you a beauty bite of that right away. Beauty, right? It's those sour dill, kosher dill ones. I didn't toast the bread because I love fresh, soft bread and just some mayo. And to go with that, storm chips.
Fresh bread. I mean, it's... I'm not saying it's not fresh, but it's not just baked out of the oven fresh. Comes out of that bag.
So this is all mixed in one bag. This has smoke and sweet barbecue, sea salt and vinegar, home-style ketchup, and creamy dill. They're good. They are really, really good, you guys. Let's try this root beer. Just a bit of foam. Ooh, that's so good. All right, guys, let's give you a beauty bite of this first sandwich here. Hi, Sam. Beauty bite. Shh. I say shh. Beauty bite of a chip.
Sea salt and vinegar. So, story time. Yeah, it's just from the past because my life now kind of boring.
At this point, she was living with BB.
Basically, cold cuts, but bologna in particular, reminds me of this girl my mom used to force me to hang out with. Like a pity hangout when I was a kid. She lived on my street, and I called her the bologna beater. You're probably thinking, that's a weird nickname. It's pretty self-explanatory. She used to literally beat her cold cuts. I don't know why she did that. I guess my mom felt bad for her. She didn't have any friends on the block. My mom was good friends with her mom. And they didn't have a lot of money. I'm glad that my mom helped her out that way. She would have them over for dinner a lot, or always be like feeding my friends, which is nice. I remember one time to my mom, I'm like, we'll call her, I don't know, I can't think of anything, Rosalie. She's like, Rosalie's coming over for dinner. And I was like, can't you just give them money for supper? So she doesn't have to come over. I know that's mean, but this girl was bad luck. Every time she was around, something would happen. She lived on my street for quite a while. Years later, when we went away to Florida, I had a pet newt Iggy and a hamster Chip. A hamster named Chip I got for my birthday. Her and her mom were watching my pets. I came back and both were dead. I was so mad. I blamed it on her. I don't know. Maybe it wasn't her fault. Probably not. But I took one of Chip's whiskers as a souvenir, and dumb me, I put it in a clear jar. And his whiskers clear, so I lost it. My only memory of him. I just got a new Hollywood Barbie. I had like these really cool Barbie cowboy boots. One time we were playing Barbies, my mom was like, let her play with your new Barbie, because we got in a fight. I'm like, no, you're not playing with my new Barbie. So she told me, and my mother made me let her play with it. Sure enough, by the end of the playtime, she lost one of my Barbie boots.
Lost or put in her pocket?
There was always something. And she was always throwing a tantrum, like a screaming tantrum. Like one day she was looking out the window at my place, and she went to get up, and she hit her head. It didn't look like she hit it hard, but she smacked her head. She started holding her head and screaming and wailing and like... running around the apartment. She ended up being okay. She's the one who peed on my Albert doll that my uncle got for me. He was in the military, and when he came back, he had this cool puppet for me, and she slept over him. And she ended up wetting the bed because she wets the bed. She ended up peeing all over him, and I had to throw him out. I was so mad. Anyway, that's a bit of backstory. She lived up the street from me, and a lot of the time, her mother would watch me, like babysit me or whatever. I first experienced her slapping her cold cuts when I went over there one time. I had spent the night. My mom was going to come get me, like, I think around supper time that day. And she was like, what do you want for lunch? I'm like, well, what do you have? And she looks in her fridge. She's like, we have some summer sausage. And I'm like, oh, I like summer. I like summer sausage. We decided to toast the bread. As she's getting the summer sausage out of the package, she got like this burst of excitement. She held the summer sausage and was like, like smacked it. At my house too, one time we were making bologna sandwiches, and we had bologna sandwiches quite often. It was easy to make. Bologna sandwiches and chips. We'd be making it, and before she put her piece on her bread, she would do that. She would hold it up and like smack her bologna. Now, I told my best friend on the block and everything. I had a couple best friends that lived on my street. None of them went to the same school as me. So I had like best friend in school, best friend on the street. So good. Of course I told my best friend. And that's when between the two of us we came up with the name Bologna Beater. Of course nowadays I have more compassion for her when I look back on her situation. Because they had a rough time. Like they were really struggling financially. And my mom did whatever she could. Give them food, have them over to eat. She would just clean out my room and give her stuff without my permission, but usually didn't care. I mean, back then when I was younger, I didn't really understand that. But now looking back, like there were many times like when I was a kid, and we didn't have a lot, but my mom did everything she could to make it seem like we had stuff, you know? She was a single parent for a while. We struggled. She went back to college. When I was getting older, I would think back of incidents I didn't understand as a kid. Like one time I went to a wedding with them because her mom was watching me. And when we
She really hung out with this girl a few times, eh?
came back, Rosalie, was that the name we gave her? Rosalie's older sister and her older brother, were fighting over who gets to eat the last can of Alphagetti. And I didn't understand, you know, that they didn't have much to eat. So I told my mom about it, and then she ended up giving them some food. As a kid, I didn't like hanging out with her because she was always like bad luck. Also, she smacked her cold cuts.
know, it's weird, eh, Sam? More chips.
She looked like she was shaking her bologna.
Don't judge me, I'm having blackberries and coconut water the rest of the night. Honestly, that's what I've been doing for the past little while. Anyway. Maybe if I tried smacking my bologna, I would understand why she did it. They had some bad luck, but as they grew up more, their mom got remarried to somebody wonderful. They all ended up finding somebody. They have really good lives right now. So I'm happy for them, you know? I did apologize to her a while back. I saw her once. She was pregnant. We had a mutual friend, I guess. I ended up at her house one day. I was like, I'm so sorry if I was ever a bitch to you as a kid. As you get older, you realize maybe she was like that because of her upbringing, you know? And here I am just like, you lost my Barbie boo! Huh? This bologna is... It's so good.
I wonder if Chantal's the way she is because of her upbringing.
Stop eating it.
This is a crunchy mukbang.
Alright guys, I'm done. That was really good. I've been craving that. I only got like 2 slices of bologna. I didn't get like any more than that because I don't eat that like on a regular basis. You know, cold cuts probably shouldn't. Once in a while. Anyways guys, thank you so much for watching and I'll see you next video. Bye guys. So Easter. Traditionally, when I was really young, I would go see the Easter Bunny in the mall, sit on his...
Okay, so she spends an Easter at her friend's house and they find a surprise in the parents' bedroom.
lap, kind of like Santa, but I was terrified of the Easter Bunny. So I had to stop going. Another tradition was Easter egg hunts. My mom and my stepdad would place those little Cadbury mini eggs. Oh my god. Aren't those the best things? Going on an Easter egg hunt and the eggs would lead to little gifts or whatever, you know? I had this best friend when I was a kid. We were like really close. We were so close that our periods synced. I was at her house sleeping over. I spent a lot of my time there. She started her period and then I went home and started mine. I was at her house one Easter morning and her mom and dad organized an Easter egg hunt for us. Well, that Easter egg hunt would forever change my life. I think we were about 11 years old, maybe kind of old to still be doing Easter egg hunts, but we liked them. I was playing Barbie till I was like 13 or 14. We're doing the Easter egg hunts. I did an egg trail and hid some of the eggs in their closet, in their bedroom. In retrospect, this probably wasn't too smart of her parents to do. She must have been nosy. My friend ended up sneak through her parents' closet. Later that night, we're up in her room playing. Her parents were not there. She was like, yo, I found something. Come with me. So we sneak into her parents' room again. And in their parents' closet, there was this little box. And guys, it was full of porn. VHS tapes, 80s porn. You know, the porn where everyone still had a monster bush. Nowadays, you won't find pornography where women are not shaved. If you do, it's usually a specialty. You have to request it, you know? There were handcuffs, lube, everything. We were like, wow, our interest in that peaked to the max. Remember when I would go over there, when her parents were gone, we would watch some of the tapes. They were funny. They were hilarious. They were just really bad. Like corny. One was stereotypical cool boy whole scenario. I remember that. If you're gonna do an Easter egg hunt this year,
I definitely didn't go looking for those videos.
adults be warned. Hide your porn stash. I was thinking of this today for some reason. I think it scarred me for life. This is a horror story from my childhood.
This is a Halloween story
That I think haunts me to this day. I was maybe 7 or 8, something like that. I was young. Still young enough to wear those plastic Halloween costumes with plastic masks that kids wear. So my friend and I were going trick-or-treating and my friend was over. She was Beetlejuice for Halloween. Pretty cool costume, I know. Hard to beat. I love Beetlejuice, but I was really girly, you know, and I really wanted to be Betty Boop. They had a kid's Betty Boop costume. I had the mask, I had the costume. We get ready to go trick-or-treating and everything. I have my little plastic pumpkin candy collector. We're going trick-or-treating till we come to this house around the corner from my place where I lived at the time. We knock on the door and he must have been a teenager, but at the time teenagers seemed so old to me, so he must have been like an older teenager. I don't know. There was like loud music in the background, sound like they were partying, you know? He answers the door. He looks at my friend. He's like, oh cool, Beetlejuice. I love Beetlejuice, and gives her candy. He looks at me and he's like, I don't like Betty Boop, and he just like slams the door in our face. Have you ever been denied Halloween candy?
I just kind of assumed that they know it was Chantal underneath the costume.
as a kid. Think of how traumatizing that is. That's almost the same as like meeting Santa Claus for real and him telling you he's not giving you any presents. I was so sad. Probably just some dumb teenager. So that's my traumatizing story. I'm over it, but it's pretty shitty. I was living at home and I was going through puberty. It was these two boys around my age, John and George. George was a
This is one of those really awkward stories.
bit older. They lived a couple houses down. They weren't liked by the whole neighborhood because they were so loud. The boys were just out of control, always yelling. They were pretty much my alarm clock every morning. Early in the morning, they would fight. John was going through puberty as well, and his voice was like Mickey Mouse, high pitched. All I would hear is, "Fuck you, George!" Really loud. They'd get the cops called on them, and they let their dog crap everywhere. They never picked it up. But I was going through puberty. I was sick of kissing my posters and my stuffed animals. I thought maybe I could practice on John. My mom feels bad for people who are less fortunate, and I do too now. Back then I didn't really know what their deal was, but apparently why don't you have John and George over for supper? She felt bad because they were emaciated. They were so skinny. And anytime they would come over and my mom would make cookies or something, they'd devour the whole thing. They would not go away once you invite them over though, because one day I ordered a poutine. I was really hungry, really waiting for that poutine. I had to empty the dishwasher all week just to get some allowance money to save up to get this friggin' $8.50 poutine. And I wanted it to myself. All of a sudden, conveniently, John and George, right when the poutine guy comes, he's like, "Oh, can I have some?" So I had to share. They ate like almost the whole thing. That was it. I told my mom I don't want to hang out with them anymore.
It gets worse.
Kept coming over. I remember John would wear jeans that were 5 sizes too tight for him, the poor guy. It's like he wore the same jeans he had when he was like maybe a 10-year-old boy, and he outgrew them. He had water in the basement big time. Same with George. After the poutine incident, they came over a couple days later, and I was like, well, maybe I'll make out with him. So we had this like little area under the stairs, and we were playing like cabin or something stupid. I had a sheet over covering it for privacy, and we're just sitting there. I was like, "Do you want a French kiss?" And he was like, "Okay." But then when he smiled, he still had poutine in his teeth from the other day. No, I think I hear my mom coming. Maybe we shouldn't. That was that. They ended up moving. We ended up getting rid of them. They were interesting neighbors. Summer's fast approaching, slowly approaching. I thought I talked
Oh man. Oh man. The blue lipstick.
to you guys about some horrible summer camp experience.
Yeah, that looks like a donut with a hamburger in it.
Experiences I've had. My good mother, bless her heart, she would always want to involve me in extracurricular activities. I was only interested in 3 things as a kid, okay? Picking caterpillars off trees, playing doctor, and reading Babysitter's Club books under a tree.
Under a tree,
I humored her,
specifically.
you know, she needs a break too. Send me away for the day. One time she sent me to this day camp. You go away for the day. It was a week-long acting camp for kids. It was run by a local guy, probably some like failed actor guy who really wanted to be an actor but ended up teaching. I don't know. I'm just making assumptions. Just being a smart ass. I don't know anybody. None of my friends came to any of these things with me. Okay? The one thing I remember the most is we had to try to do a commercial and make it a believable product. Form our own groups. Everyone just seemed to get into groups. Like it was a natural thing and I was left behind. And I was left behind with the other loser of the group nobody wanted to be with. I don't know why. She was kind of weird, but she was overall nice. So I ended up hooking up with her. I wish I hadn't. She was a control freak. I'd hate to see how she is in life right now because she wouldn't like accept any of my ideas. She was so set on doing this cosmic milk. I just remember the name. I don't even remember what the heck it was. Cosmic milk. We were kids, right? So maybe she had a big imagination and she thought that asteroids could provide dairy products. I have no idea what she was thinking. We did some stupid commercial for it. And I remember the actor guy, since then he kind of just like lost faith in me. I was guilty by association, damn it. So anyways, after that, the big pièce de résistance was this big play we had to put on a show for, you know, our parents or whatever at the end. It was decided upon that we were going to do a recreation of Aladdin. Of course, I picked the prettiest girl in the group to be Jasmine. She was a blonde girl, but anyways, Jasmine has black hair. I'm pretty sure there was a Middle Eastern girl. Like, way to whitewash already. Holy, we're only kids. Nice habits you're teaching us. I really wanted the part of Jasmine. Every girl wanted the part of Jasmine. The one scene that I remember we were going to do was, you know, at the beginning of the Disney cartoon where they're in a market, there's all hustle and bustle and there's people selling nuts and figs and fish. Well, you know the one really boisterous guy who's like, fresh fish, we catch them, you buy them, grabs her by the arm and is like, fresh fish. You know what I was stuck doing? I was the fucking fresh fish guy. And you've seen that part where he's like, fresh fish.
Don't fight her, potted brass or soup.
Sugar dates and figs, sugar dates and pistachios. Would the lady like a necklace? A pretty necklace for a pretty lady. Fresh fish, we catch them, you buy them.
Well, yeah. Okay, we did the play, grab her by the arm, and I'm like, fresh, fresh. I was really into my part. I wanted to show that I was a good actress. The actor
Grab her by
teacher
the
guy,
arm.
he gave me shit for overacting. I'm like, really? I'm freaking 10. You just crushed my dreams, my self-esteem, everything. Anyways. He gave me shit for overacting. I didn't go back the next year. So I'm going to talk about my summer camp fiasco story. This is a different summer camp I went to. This camp was a day away summer camp, like you'd go away for the day. So this summer camp was...
Okay, so we're getting into the summer camp stories now.
Is that a huge
I think there might be like 2 or 3 she went.
recreation center. I don't know what it was used for. Now it's used for air traffic control training. I hated going there. I had to get dropped off early in the morning, get picked up while my mom was at work. She was always the last to pick me up. So our day started out getting into our groups with our camp counselor. All I remember about mine is that she always wore a big stripe of white zinc on her nose. Her nose was always sunburnt. That's all I remember. We spent most of our day outdoors doing activities that I sucked at, like soccer, volleyball, soccer, baseball. And of course, because I sucked at those activities, I was always last to get picked in the groups. Knowing you're picking your team, especially when we play dodgeball or murder ball, no one wants somebody on their team that gets out on the first throw. You know, it was always the same. The one boy, the strong arm, would always whip the ball at everybody. Knew I would be an easy target, so he'd whip it with excessive force at me first, and I'd always go ah! And be out. Why do you have to whip the ball so hard? Jeez, calm your testosterone down. Show off. And as a special treat, sometimes we would get to flap a parachute around. Oh yeah. You must think I'm so miserable. That kind of stuff just wasn't my thing. I was more into like staying in my room, listening to the Smashing Pumpkins, and reading Fear Street novels. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, then lunchtime came around, and you know my deal with packed lunches. A soggy sandwich and a warm juice box, usually. In the afternoon, we got to go swimming. It was a huge Olympic-sized pool. Had a diving board, a slide, but even though it was an indoor pool, the water was freezing, you know? And the worst thing was, there was a tease, like there was a whirlpool hot tub right beside the pool, and the water would overflow and seep out onto the flooring. So I would sneak over when no one was looking and just put my feet in the little puddles of hot water, wishing so bad I was old enough to go in the pool. It was like for adults only or whatever. We weren't allowed in there. I didn't like swim time. First of all, the girls' changing room smelled like... You're not listening, are you?
Baby.
The girls' changing room. It took me a while, when I was thinking about this story, it took me a while to really pinpoint the smell, so I did a lot of hard work to really bring you a realistic memory, the true essence of what that locker room smelled like. You say I don't work hard. Yeah, I do. The room smelled like egg farts, puberty, and Calgon body spray. I don't know what it was about the summer camps, but there was always a clique of snobby chicks. Total snobby bitches. This one girl in particular was a few fries short of a Happy Meal, I'm pretty sure. And you know what? I saved her life one day. This girl excluded me from their club because I didn't wear Levi's jeans. I wore Giant Tiger brand. And I saved her life. One time, in the changing room, she had just gotten out of the shower. She was dripping wet, had a towel wrapped around her. The floor in the change room was wet, really wet, had little puddles from people coming out of the pool and showering and stuff. So this bright star, I see her walking. She has her blow dryer in her hand, and she's walking toward the counter with all plug-ins. She starts reaching to plug in her blow dryer while she's standing soaking wet in a puddle of water. And I'm sitting there putting on my socks, watching her, and I'm thinking, no, she can't be. Is she gonna do it? Is she gonna do it? So it was like a reflex. I was like, don't! And she stopped and she looked and she's like, what's your problem, psycho? When she called me a psycho, that really irked me, and I was this close to saying, nothing, have a nice day, keep doing what you're doing. But no, I was...
Hi, Hati. Hope you're doing good.
Like, electrocution? I mean, maybe nothing would have happened, but I just had a bad feeling. Water, electricity seemed like a bad combination. Back to this pool, though, okay? It was a lot of fun, had a slide, whatever. But I have this thing with public pools, especially ones that have tons of kids in it at the same time. Farting, peeing, spitting, drooling, their band-aids floating off after covering the scabs they picked. It's just... it's just gross. And the worst thing is, this one kid, he always barfed in the pool. One time, I'm just swimming in place. I saw something floating in front of me, and I was confused. I'm thinking, why is there beefaroni in the pool? Yeah, I know. That's pretty gross, sorry. And it clued in after everyone was like, ah, screaming and getting out of the pool. What's fun about that? I sound jaded, but what's fun about that? One time I remember the cool clique of girls, you know, the one that almost electrocuted herself. I you not? This girl looked like, you know, that chick from The Simpsons? That's what she reminded me of as a kid anyways. I'm not making fun, so... Anyway, we're sitting in a circle around lunchtime, and the conversation started out innocent enough, talking about the types of stickers we like to collect and whatnot. I like the scratch and sniff ones. Out of nowhere, the Simpsons chick blurts out, "My mom has a hanging purple thing between her legs. I think it's called her clitoris." And I almost choked on my juice box. I have never yet heard of a clitoris. This was my first encounter with the word, or the whole concept of it. So, for years, I would spread them, look in the mirror, expecting one day to grow a big, long, hanging purple thing, like this girl said. All the girls were like,
Oh,
ew,
no.
but then they were like, oh, describe it some more, you know? So she's like, well, I was taking a bath with my mom. I used to do that when I was really young, but at 12, no.
This is so TMI.
She said her mom got out of the bath before her, was drying off, and bent down. And, yeah, that's when she saw the purple thing. And I'm like, why would you expose your mother? She gave birth to you. She gave you a bomb lunch compared to mine. And here you're making fun of the vag you came out of. That's nice. I hated that camp. Home time would come. Like I said, I was always the last one to get picked up. I remember sitting on the picnic table one time, feeling sorry for myself, watching all the kids get picked up one by one and wanting so bad to get out of there. My mom and I were alone at the time, and I just felt like a lot of the time when she wouldn't come, I would worry that she would never come, like something bad happened to her. And one day I was sitting there, and I had that song in my head. You know, the one from the Robin Hood movie? You know it's true. Everything I do it for you. The Bryan Adams song. I had it in my head. I was sad, wishing my mom would show up. So every time I hear that Bryan Adams song, I think of that moment when I felt like my mom would never come, you know? She always did show up, and I got to go home. Have any of you ever been to, like, a day camp? I don't know. Just never had fun. I guess at that one, maybe it would be more fun if I had friends there, but I didn't. I actually did go away to a sleepaway camp, summer camp for a week, and that was the longest week of my life. This was even worse. This is like torture. Like, I don't know what they're trying to teach kids. Again, I knew nobody there. Everyone else seemed to already have their friends there. They've been going there for years. I was a newbie. Number one, you play a lot of sports. You do a lot of physical activity, which is good for you. I mean, I like playing in the park and running around and jumping rope and stuff, but not soccer and all that. I got there and I'm like, oh no. There was 2 bunk beds in each cabin and then a bed for your team leader or your counselor. The 3 girls were all in a clique together and they were effing snobby. I think I was 12 or 13, so we were just starting to hit puberty. I really hated them. They were so bitchy to me. They just like left me out, didn't even try to make friends with me. I would try to be nice to them. Snobby, and one of them was the leader, and she was so snotty. She needed to come down off her high horse. You know, she would...
Oh man, she really didn't like this kid.
Get naked in front of everybody at like 13 and was proud of her body and would parade around, show it off. Like, she had a nice body there, but if you're gonna be snobby and put down others about their bodies, make sure that you don't have a friggin' Satan's bush, because oh my god, she was only 13 and her bush was fucking horrific. All bushes aside, the thing that made it horrible was that every morning, never was a morning person. Okay, I could handle getting up at 8, but we had to get up at 5 a.m. sharp. The geese weren't even finished shitting all over the lawn, so you'd have to get out. It was freezing in the morning, like all the wet, cold mildew on the grass. There was all geese shit. You know why? You know what one of the exercises was? How to comb for dead bodies in the fucking cold lake at 5 in the morning. Those are some useful life things you need to know, you know? 5 in the morning, had to link arms, get in the freezing lake, you know, move our legs around. They taught us how to feel around for a dead body. So many weird things I've done in my life that I feel like, have I been dreaming half my life? Anytime we would eat in the dining hall, and to make our life even more miserable.
I believe that, Hottie. I think you're right.
Anytime you were caught with your elbows on the table, this is very humiliating, okay? And it happened to me. They would all start chanting, Chantal, Chantal, keen and able, get your elbows off the table. This is not a horse's stable, but a first-class dining table. Stand up, please. You would have to stand up, and then they would make you take a spoon and push it across the floor, the whole length of the dining hall, with your nose. I hate them. You know what?
That's so weird. That's not even fun. That's just kind of mean.
If I wasn't so naive back then, if that was me going back there today, I would have refused. I wonder what would have happened. I would have got sent home. Oh, what a shame. I did it more for my mother because I didn't want her to feel like I didn't like doing anything, or I didn't want her to waste her money. I wanted her to have a life too. I know she would have never cared if I stayed home, but even at that age, I was conscious of those things, you know? I remember one night, we were around a campfire, and one of the counselors told a very lame ghost story, sorry. It wasn't even scary. I'm like watching Freddy Krueger at that age. Anyway, one of the girls fainted because she was so scared. And no, I didn't feel bad for her. I was jealous because she got to go home. I don't know, I stuck it out for some some reason. And you know what? I had to push that spoon across that floor so many times. Remember I told you that summer camp that I went to? I was very lonely because the people I was bunking with were total bitches. They were rude and they were mean to me. Well, in order to get companionship, I had to resort to a spider that would come up nightly. I would be just dozing off to go to bed, and they made us go to bed early. On campfire nights, they let us go to bed later. And you know why? I have a theory. Because camp counselor Caitlin, I'm pretty sure she had a crush on camp counselor Joe, and camp counselor Joe liked to show off his guitar playing skills. He used to be like, just call me Six-String Joe. Yeah, okay, buddy. The only thing he knew how to play, played Smoke on the Water over and over and over. I mean, it's pretty impressive. It's a good song, but like, you only know one song. So that's why I think on campfire nights when he would be playing his guitar, she would let us stay up later just so he could show off. Caitlin was our cabin counselor. I wake up in the middle of the night and I'd be like in a groggy state of mind, so I'd be thinking, am I really seeing this? And there would be a big fat spider, like this big, I swear. In Ontario, that's a big spider, okay? I was on the top bunk and there was a window right on my bunk. There would be a perfectly shaped web in my window, and the spider would be there every night in the middle of the night. Never bothered me, never moved, just stayed there in the web. And then in the morning, it would be gone. So I was thinking, did I imagine that? But that was before I knew that. I mean, I knew spiders were nocturnal, but I didn't think they got rid of their webs in the morning, you know? It was kind of soothing to wake up and see the spider there every night. It was like, I don't know, it was weird. It was weird. It never harmed me. They really don't bother us. They do their thing. They're the perfect roommates. I'm back. The bathroom was up a bunch of stairs. He's like, could take the elevator. I'm like, no, I can't. I'm not getting stuck in a crappy 1980s elevator at a grocery store. Sears is no more here. It's like bankrupt or out of business. But when it used to be around, it was a big department store at this crappy mall in my hometown. That was like the most exciting thing about my hometown was this mall, okay? Okay. Okay. In the back, hidden away in the clothes area was this elevator. And I went in there with my friend one day. We got stuck in it. I don't know what happened. We were on the ground floor. We went up press 2 to go to the second floor of Sears. And it was like a really dim, like old elevator. It was like all brown. That's all I remember. Very dim, hardly any lighting. Very old and crappy. And it went up to 2 and the door just wouldn't open. We were pressing door open.
It was probably an elevator from the 60s. In the 90s?
It just like stopped working. And like I've been stuck in elevators a couple times. So I think that's part of my fear and my claustrophobia. I was freaking out. I thought I was gonna die. My friend was like, stop it. She was getting mad at me. Finally, the door just opened. So I don't know if it just like, you know, shorted out for that time being. I don't know. Or it was just teasing me. It's like, ha, I'm gonna get you. I don't know, but it stopped working. I never went in that elevator again. My friend and I just were like playing around kind of, so it serves me right. But they kept that elevator there till it closed. The same crappy elevator. My special occasion meal. I made the pumpkin Alfredo. The special occasion is it's Friday the 13th. Yes. My memory is not the greatest. I was really racking my brains for story times. My brain for story times. And I do remember something creepy kind of happening to me. Now, as a kid, a lot of things creepy happened. But because I was a kid, afraid of everything, and I had a huge imagination, I sometimes ask myself, how much of it was like childhood imagination, and how much of it was actually true? This happened early 90s. Crash test dummies were a thing. Remember them?
Keep your eye on things on little things. Don't you try everything on little things. Keep your eye on things on little things.
Well, this was a particular weekend where I think my mom was at work and my stepdad was watching me, and he was a manager for a furniture business just on the outskirts of my hometown. He wanted to bring me there, and he had some work to do, and there would be nobody there on the weekend, I guess, so he wanted me to go with him. I went with him, so he was going to go in Saturday and Sunday.
We have another ghost story.
And I thought, oh no, how boring. You know, we would go there would be nobody in there. It would be really, really quiet. It was a big building. Like the factory part where they make all the furniture was connected to the offices. So it was full of big machines and everything like that. But nobody was working on the weekend. At least that's what I'm assuming, because there was nobody there. It was just him and I. The building was all quiet. And this is why I mentioned crash test dummies. The only noise was this radio that was in his office. Now, he was somewhere doing something. I remember being in his office alone and this music playing. I think it was the top 40 with Casey Kasem. Do you guys remember that? The top 40. Good morning, America. Like his distinct voice, Casey Kasem.
From Hollywood, it's America's #1 pop music show, America's Top 10 with Casey Kasem. This week, Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers.
Don't come around here no more.
Plus, our exclusive review of the top 10 on Billboard's pop, soul, country, and album charts for the week ending May 26, 1985. Now, here's Casey Kasem.
Thank you, and hello again, everybody. Welcome to America's Top 10. Right now, let's turn to the action on the Billboard Pop Singles Chart and count down the 10 biggest songs in the land this week.
Yeah, he's deceased now, so rest in peace. I love listening to the top 40. One of the songs was from the Crash Test Dummies. And like any other song, they overplayed it. They played it, oh gosh, we were there for a few hours and they must have played it over and over. So it was just this constant drabby afternoon of being in the stuffy office with paperwork and the Crash Test Dummies. The only part I remember from that song is, had birthmarks all over her body. That's like one of the lines from the song. That's the only thing I remember. That and the They were just about to play the song again when I was like, no, I can't. I'm gonna sneak out and explore. I knew there was a big warehouse area of the building that I felt like I wasn't supposed to go in, but he didn't specifically tell me not to. That's what you get for assuming I'm well behaved, because I was bored. I wasn't about to listen to for like a 10th time. I think it was like 2 big double doors. I was like right near the offices anyways. I remember opening the doors, and if I thought the office was quiet, this giant room, it was like pitch black. Like I just remember it being very, very, very dark. Like I was kind of young, so I'm just going based off my memory. Maybe because I was a scared child, my memory is not the most reliable thing. Speaking of scared children, there's one crying outside. You're ruining my video. There's gonna be tons of haters like, she was making fun of a crying child. Children cry over everything, for God's sake. Do you remember being a child? I used to cry if one of my Ritz crackers broke in half. Like, come on now. I remember the place being really, really dark and really, really quiet. I don't know why I did this. I think I like the feeling of being scared, I guess. I started walking around in the dark, and all I could make out were like shapes of huge different machines. Like out of the dark, in the quiet. All I remember hearing is like a weird, like wheezy cough kind of. I can't even really do it. So, I mean, that's all I remember hearing. I've only felt this a few times in my life, but that intense fear that almost makes you sick, like makes your knees wobble, your legs feel like they're asleep, kind of. It's like you're frozen with fear. I felt like that. So I ran instinctively instead of running for the door because it was kind of far away. The closest thing was the shape of a big machine. So I remember hiding behind it and kind of like closing my eyes, even though it was dark. I remember hiding and feeling a little bit safer, but I was like, crap, I'm even deeper into the warehouse. I need to get out of here, you know? I'm sitting there listening carefully. I heard it again. It was like a weird wheeze. Was it me? Like a weird wheeze, like somebody who smoked a lot in their life or had emphysema or something. It sounded a bit far away, like in one of the corners, like behind one of the big machines or something. And I remember thinking, this is not happening to me. I'm not going to see a ghost today. There's no way. I can't. That was like my biggest fear, seeing a ghost. But now I kind of want to see a ghost, not alone.
I ain't afraid of no ghost.
I was frightened, like almost to death. I was so scared, but I thought, just do it. Just get it over with. You have to make a run for it. I don't know how I got my legs to work, but I made a beeline right to the doors. Didn't hear any more wheezing, thankfully, and bolted out of there. Now, if this were a movie, the doors would have been locked, and I would have turned around, and a shuffling old wheezy ghost would be coming after me. But no, thankfully, that did not happen. So I ran to the office. I sat back down on the office chair, and I actually found comfort in Casey Kasem's voice.
I so thought I had her. I might still, I don't know, the shuffling wheezy ghost. I thought I had her going, coughing in the background again, but I guess I didn't.
Buddy, welcome to America's Top 10.
And that song. I'm just like, yes, I'll take anything over being in there with that creepy wheeze. So my stepdad came back, maybe in the printer room or something. I don't know where he was, honestly. You know, I made a joke, like, you look like you've seen a ghost. What were you up to? It's like parents have like a sixth sense for these things. They know when you've been beezing, you know? Just like I can tell when Sam's been beezing. I was like, I'm not going to tell him what I've been doing. I'm not going to tell him I've been beezing. So I was just like, nothing. And he's like, well, that's good because you don't want to be wandering around, especially in the warehouse parts, because you don't want to encounter old Wheezy Bob. And I think my face got whiter. I don't know if he was making this up just to scare me because he knew what I was up to. But saying old Wheezy Bob is very specific to what I experienced, like an old man wheeze kind of cough. And I said, who's old Wheezy Bob? And he said, there's this employee who used to work here for years and years, and people called him old Wheezy Bob because all over the whole building you could hear him wheezing and coughing. He had a really bad case of emphysema, and he smoked, oh my gosh, I guess he smoked a lot of packs of cigarettes, blah, blah, blah. Smoked a lot. I don't remember exactly how many, but he said he smoked a lot. I remember he said emphysema because I remember learning that word that day. So that was just I was like, oh my gosh, old Weezy Bob. I was like, no more exploring for me. But I was tempted to. I honestly don't remember if I went back. Vaguely remember like opening the double door, peeking in, and then running away kind of thing. But I never like went fully inside of it. I actually had nightmares of being in that warehouse and like old Weezy Bob coming after me. So I'm over it now. I think maybe I just rehashed something and now I'm going to be scared tonight. So the next day, we went there again the next day. I brought my Fear Street books, my Goosebump books, and I just stayed in there listening to the top 40. So that was that. Anyways, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. Who hates school trips? Me. Who was forced to go on school trips anyways? Me. Oh man, I hated school trips. They were always the same thing. Have to get your waiver signed, go on this crappy trip. I'll tell you when gross parts come up, just to warn you, because we are eating.
Looks like kale chips he's eating. Let's see which school trip this is.
So let me take you back to grade 7 when I had the teacher with fleas. This was in grade 7 when we were going on a school trip. It was like a 2-hour drive somewhere, I think in Montreal in the mountains. I think it was Mont Tremblant.
Alright, this is another TMI story.
Season, that's the place to go. It's like somewhere in Quebec. It was about a 2-hour or so drive from what I remember on the bus. You have to take like a long, bumpy ride on one of the yellow school buses. Does it ever alarm anybody that those buses don't have seatbelts, or is it just me? Or do they now? When I was growing up, they didn't. You have like how many kids on that bus and no seatbelts? I don't know. Is there a reason for that? Maybe I'm just ignorant. I think the school bus ride is the worst part for me because of the feeling sick, but also at the back of the bus, there's always those popular guys from class. The whole way there, they're being loud and obnoxious and burping the alphabet. I remember telling you in other videos, I get very bad motion sickness in buses.
Now the thing about me is when I was a kid, almost every other day I was barfing on the bus.
So there was the whole way there, I would stand up and yell, stop the bus, because I didn't feel well, you know, thought I was going to be sick. So by the time we got to the ski resort, I had no friends. They all hated me. No one likes a barfy friend, I guess. So make it there. I don't know who dressed me. I think I dressed myself. I used to wear these ridiculous outfits. I was wearing bright red corduroys. Remember corduroys? A bright red Gap sweater. Like, you remember those hoodie Gap sweaters? So I was dressed like all in red. So we get there and we go to the cabin to get all our stuff. We were renting gear. If you didn't have any ski gear, you had to rent it. That was part of the cost of the trip. So we get to the cabin. There's like a canteen. And me, the food addict that I am, even at that age, guys, everyone's talking about how they're going to get hot chocolate after, buying a drink maybe, but nobody other than me decides to buy mozzarella sticks. I spent all my money on them, so I wouldn't be able to afford a hot chocolate after. My tummy was a bit unsettled, topsy-turvy from the ride. What I do is scarf down some mozzarella sticks. You know how cheese and grease reacts with my stomach. Well, that's fine. Keep that in mind.
I wonder if she wasn't as sick when she got off the bus, because you think she'd be sick from the drive there too. And then shoving some mozzarella sticks down before she's gonna go get physical out in the for skiing.
I think you know where this is going. So we get out to the hills. I didn't have a big jacket on or anything. I just had my hoodie and like a shirt underneath. I was never one for wearing, even now I don't go out in a winter coat. I'm just not, I was always hot and I didn't really like wearing bulky, you know? So for those who they thought were gonna suck at skiing, me, or those who needed a quick lesson, were to take a lesson on this bunny hill. Got my skis on, got the poles. Some things are a little fuzzy because it was so long ago, but there was like a group of kids nearby. A kid's younger than me. I think it was like a group of younger kids, and then there's like this one awkward teenager. You ever see that? I've seen it a few times. This group of little kids, and then this one awkward teenager that's like really tall. I'll just hang out with them for some reason. Hang out like with the kids. Sham?
They could all be the same age and one kid just grew a little faster.
Who's beezing? You?
Sam knows there's something behind that wall.
We might think there's something wrong with him. We're looking into it. So... Babe, I don't know what he's doing.
He knows something that she doesn't.
He's beezing. That's what you bees. Excuse me. Sam, please. Sam, please, Sam. No. Okay. Sorry about that. So there's this group of kids. I remember there being like a weird, tall, out-of-place teenager. Then all these little kids just snickering around, and they were pointing and laughing at me, and I heard them yelling. I can't even say it without laughing. Because I was all dressed in red. They were calling me, Sam! Stop beezing, Sam! They called me Clifford the Big... I can't.
How do you say Clifford the Big Red Dog in French, babe? You know what Clifford the Big Red Dog is in French? Le Gros Chien Rouge? You ever hear of him? It's a children's book about a big dog, a red dog. Well, because I was wearing red, they called me Clifford the Big Red Dog, and they were taunting me the whole time I was taking the lesson. One thing that the instructor said, that was basically do like a V to slow down. Straight to speed up, V to slow down. I don't remember what he said to stop, but I think you have to do this extremely or something. I don't know. Or on the side. I don't know. Anyway, I went over it over and over, and I think he just gave up on me. I was really bad. I was going down like, so slow. And I'm like, can I just stay on the bunny hill? He's like, no, but don't do, I think he named like 3 hills that were really for advanced skiers, like Black Diamond or something. So I avoided the Black Diamond, but then I forgot what the other ones were. I had a crush on this guy, like throughout all of elementary school. Or no, he showed up in grade 4. Yeah, grade 4. So since grade 4, you know, up until grade 8, I had a crush on this guy. And he was going on the chairlift. He was nice to me. It was.
All right, so the TMI is coming up. Just be prepared. Be prepared for that one.
One of those like nice popular guys, you know? You have the nice ones, you have the not nice ones. And he was like, hey, do you want to come on the chairlift with me and go down this mountain? And I was like, yeah, you know, of course. I wanted to give it a try. I'd go anywhere with this guy. So waiting for the chairlift, and I'm like so nervous. Chairlift comes, I sit on it, it's going up. And it was so high, and I was just like, the cheese sticks, my tummy started rumbling. I don't remember if he didn't tell us how to get off the chairlift, but have you ever tried getting off a chairlift? Have you ever went skiing? Have you ever gone skiing, babe? What? What? No, that's very smart. So anyway, my stomach's hurting. I'm like, oh no, I'm gonna have to go to the bathroom. I'm in midair on a chairlift with my biggest crush. Finally gets to the end. He gets down, no problem. He's like a natural athlete, you know. I go to get off. I fall. I slid down because you have to basically ski off. So ski off. Whoa, fall on my butt. I can't get up. When I fall, when I have skis on, I can't get up. Somebody getting off the ski lift, you know, stopped, helped me up. I don't know. I was all lost and I was worried I had to go to the bathroom and I was like all frazzled. So right off the ski lift's here, there was a hill right there. And I could see the cabin looking down. And I thought, this hill has to be easy, right? No. It was one of the tough ones. Like, and there was all trees along the side.
I just noticed the bows on her fingernails again. Which reminds me of Amberlynn.
So I'm like, I could do this. I start going down. But because it was like one of the bigger hills, I don't know, I lost control somehow. I don't really remember. Maybe I was brave and attempted to, you know. I don't know where my crush went. I think he went somewhere else. I didn't know. When I fell, I lost track of him. So I end up just like out of control and I'm like, I'm gonna fall. Whoa. Lights out. So I was just like out of control and I'm like, I'm gonna fall. Sure enough, I end up falling somehow and sliding into a tree. I didn't really hurt myself. A couple of scrapes and bruises. And I couldn't get up. And my poles went flying when I fell. So I couldn't use my pole to take off my ski. I think that's what they taught us, if I'm not mistaken, right? You take the pole, you push down on the release. Oh, I better warn you. This is a gross part. So if you're grossed out easily, I noticed when I was laying there, my bowels had a sweet release. I could feel it everywhere.
Sweet.
You know, it was like some of it was in the snow, so I knew it was visible. I had crapped my pants. I had seeped through and come out the back of my pants.
The red
I needed help. I was laying there crying. I was crying. I'm like, somebody help me, and people were just skiing by me. Finally, my crush, this angel, he was with a guy, another really popular, really hot guy. I'm like,
you've just come for round 2.
Like from the 8th grade, and they stopped. Like I could see them coming over to me, and they stopped. And he's like, the guy in the 8th grade was snowboarding, and they're like, Chantal, you know. He's like, Chantal, and I was, oh my god,
Chantal, is that you? All dressed in red?
You can imagine how embarrassed I was. I felt sick. I was just like, you know, and he was respectful, and he didn't really say anything about the bathroom situation, and they helped me down. I just kind of slid down the hill, I think. I'm trying to remember. I think I just slid down, like on my ass. I don't.
There it is. Oh no. Leaving a nice trail behind.
I don't remember really how I got down. I know I got down, and I was so relieved to see the cabin. He was really nice, and he didn't really say anything about it. You know, I think those other kids that were burping the alphabet, they probably wouldn't even help me, and they would have laughed, and I would have been made fun of for the whole school, you know? But he was like more mature, and I remember us being pretty good friends in grade 8 and hanging out, and man, kindness is very much appreciated.
She's very lucky that this guy was so nice. Because that's a pretty awkward situation to be in, pretty embarrassing, but I mean, she got out of it.
appreciate it. It was so embarrassing. It was so embarrassing. Made it to the cabin, went to the washroom, cleaned myself off as best as I could. I ended up taking my hoodie, tying it around my waist. I had a long sleeve shirt underneath. Thank goodness. So that was that. The kids, as I was coming down, were still yelling Clifford, and I was like, "Want me to shove my pole up your ass?" There's other school trips where I've had emergencies. It's like I'm not school trip material. I'm not activities material. I think my mom wanted me to go to these things because, I don't know, maybe it was mandatory. I don't remember what the policy was back then. But my mom wanted me to be involved in social activities. So that was that. Thank you so much for listening to my gross story. I'll see you next time. Bye. When I think back and I'm like, why did I have a crush on this guy? I think this was in elementary school in like grade 6 or grade 7. I had the hugest crush on this guy who was popular in our class. I have no idea. He was the dumbest kid, I swear. I know that's mean. He was so weird. I don't know. Okay, first of all, he had the He-Man helmet head haircut, and he would burp the alphabet. That kind of thing. And here I am, like, Prince Charming. I remember one party my friend threw. Her parents owned a restaurant and were at work, so she had unchaperoned parties in her basement, which was awesome at the time. And when her brother was gone, she would use his closet to play 7 Minutes in Heaven.
Hot tea, I'm glad you're here.
If you guys don't know what that is, it's a game where the party host chooses who you go in the closet with. You go in the closet with somebody for 7 minutes and you're supposed to make out. And one time, she picked me. His name was Elliot. I'm like, please pick Elliot, please pick Elliot. I look over, I remember he was trying to stuff Cheetos in his nose and impress everybody. And you guys wonder why I dated a 35-year-old when I was 17. He didn't like me. You know, I was chubby. He was kind of...
That's a story for another day.
Kind of a bully. He was like, "Oh, damn it." So I was like obviously embarrassed. Shit, he doesn't want to go in the closet with me. Go into her brother's room. The whole time before we got in the closet, he was like showing off and like, "I don't want to go in the closet with that pig." The minute we got in the closet, takes his shirt off. He's like, "Let's make out," but you can't tell anybody. Like, really? And me at the time, who didn't have much self-esteem, I was like, sure, whatever, I won't tell. You should be thanking me for making out with you with that friggin' He-Man haircut. We made out, used his whole tongue. So gross. I don't miss
with the cheesies he was just eating too.
Those inexperienced makeout sessions. My brother came home later, really reamed her out, got in shit, the whole nines. I remember once I was on a ride, a spinny ride at the carnival, really having a good time. You know, it was in the 90s. They were playing Oasis Wonderwall. I'm like, yeah, my Wonderwall. It was like the kind of ride where like you're going around and then it kind of dips. 1 minute you're down and the person in front of you is above you. So the guy in the front here, he's like, I'm gonna barf. I'm like, oh no. So he barfs. He's lucky. None of it got on me because when that ride stopped, knuckle sandwich. I'm not lying. Foodie Beauties. Oh. How are you? Do you like my bush? I have no decor in my videos. Brenda, and that's it. Alright, let's get into this, okay? This was a long time ago, and I recently thought of it. Whenever I was in grade 8, we had this new girl start in our class. Her and her brother, they were from Hawkesbury, and their parents divorced. You could tell
she has a couple stories with these two, the brother and sister.
She was nervous and shy when she came in. She was wearing like a matching pantsuit, like a jogging suit, like purple with a scenery on it. We should not hit puberty and be wearing those friggin' pantsuits. Anyway, poor girl. So every morning we had to stand up and say a prayer and sing the O Canada. She became my friend. I didn't know her on her first day. She was standing up for the O Canada. All of a sudden, all you hear is paff and... So the teacher, who had fleas, our teacher had fleas. We found flea treatment in his desk. He went to pick her up, dragged her outside. She had passed out and hit her nose on the bookshelf. I always like to talk to the person who was like the new person, or I was always intrigued by people who were different, new. I wanted to befriend this new person. So we started talking, we started hanging out, and we became best friends. Now her father worked a lot, and he was dating somebody, and it bothered her a lot. Like this divorce, so hard on her. And he had his own place. She was used to a two-parent home, the warmth of a mother in there. The dad's house where she was staying with her brother, it was really cold. Literally, the house was just always so freezing. I was like, how do you stand it? Being alone in the house all the time. Like her brother, his room was in the basement. There was a huge room in the basement that was closed off. Then there was the whole basement area with the pool table and everything, and the basement was creepy and freezing. But we always had the place to ourselves, and she wanted me there all the time, and she was alone. I felt really bad for her. I mean, when a home is broken and a family's broken, you can sense that energy. So right off the bat, her home was a sad, melancholic, gray. The house never seemed to be bright. You know, it had a lot of windows, but it was just a very depressive home. It was empty. And even though her dad wasn't there, I could sense his sadness. Like, I know it sounds weird, but I felt bad for them. So I'd stay there a lot. We would listen to Stairway to Heaven from Led Zeppelin over and over. We'd pull a couch in front of the fireplace, eat a bowl of clementine oranges, and just do what kids do at that age. You know, you daydream, you talk about boys. Life is still a mystery. I mean, it is now, but not so much as before. This time,
I'm surprised there's not a pile of ketchup on the side of the plate rather than on top of each. Maybe this is portion control here.
her brother wasn't home. I think he was staying at his mother's. The mother, oh my god, I met her. She had left the dad for her boyfriend Dan. This guy, oh my god. I remember going over for dinner once and he would be like
That looked like real maple syrup too. Not just the table syrup. That's pretty sweet. That's really sweet stuff. But she's got like half a waffle left there. Maybe 3/4.
He laughed like so weird. I remember that now. Damn. I can't even do it. I don't know, I got the idea. I have a weird need to try and impersonate things I'm talking about. One day, her brother was gone. Her bed wasn't very big, so I couldn't really sleep with her when I would sleep over. So sometimes I would sleep in her dad's bed, which I didn't really like doing. So I was like, and I had a crush on her brother. So I thought maybe I could stay in his room and maybe he'll come home, find me there and want to make out with me or something. That was weird. Even though it was a bit creepy, I thought, I'm going to sleep in his room. So I went into his bedroom. He was older than us by a couple of years. In the basement, they had a pool table. They had a dartboard on the wall. So I went to bed down there. I shut the door. Basically, the creepiest part of the basement was the part outside of the bedroom. So
and we have another ghost story.
I shut the bedroom door. Like, I'm not going to leave here till the morning, so none of the ghosts will get me here. I got in his bed. I was happy to be there. Trying to go to bed. Just when I'm about to doze off, and I was just laying there, it sounded like someone was playing darts because one bedroom wall shared the wall with the basement where the dartboard was on the other side. So on the other side of that wall, something was hitting the wall, and it sounded like someone was playing darts. Boom, boom, a bit higher up. Almost like I could pinpoint on the wall where they were hitting the target. You know when you get scared like that, you just, everything freezes up. The tips of your fingers and your toes become ice cold. The nerves in your body just tense up and you hold your breath. And I'm listening and then it bang. I was so scared. The only thing I could do was get under the covers and just wait for it to stop. And eventually it just went away. And I was like so scared, you know. I pretty much just stayed like that under the covers with just a little area like this so I could breathe outside of the covers. And when the sun came up, I was so relieved. I heard the birds chirping. My friend had gotten up early and she had come down to get me and I was so happy. I did not want to have to open that door and go through the basement, up the stairs. So I told her all about it. I was freaking out and she's like, what? She didn't really believe in ghosts or anything like that. So her brother came home and she told him, she's like, you ever experience anything weird in your room? Like, you think it's haunted? And then he's like, why? Did you hear the ghost playing darts? Like, before we had told him, and I was, oh my fucking god, I was so freaked out. And he's like the most non-bullshit skeptical person. Apparently one night the dad liked to drink. Who told the brother one night they were playing pool and he was having a beer. But one night the dad was in the basement alone. The basement had a long staircase down. He heard footsteps coming down the stairs. First few steps at the top, covered by a wall, you couldn't see. So he heard at the top of the stairs at the door to the basement, the footsteps coming. So whenever he heard the step sound where the wall started breaking away and you would be able to see, there was nobody there. He was a bit disturbed, you know? I don't think that you have to be a psychic. You don't have to be a ghost hunter or anyone special. I think as human beings, we all are receptive to certain things, especially different energies if you just let yourself listen to that. And I sensed just going in that home, just the outside, it was just like there was never any light in that house and it was always, I don't know. That happened a long time ago. It was weird. It was creepy. I definitely heard what sounded like somebody throwing darts at the wall. It was weird. A lot of things happened to us and I think over time, of course, the memory fades until something triggers that memory and you think about it again and you think twice about it and you're like, what was that? So retelling these things really helped me too. You guys are like a therapy for me because retelling this brings back all these like archives in my memory where I remember the feeling, everything about certain things. I won't forget the atmosphere, that depressive feeling of that house. And the thing that really gets me about haunted houses is this energy. It's like it feeds off of the energy that people are emitting into its environment, and it's just almost like a psychic sponge. It soaks up this energy. You know, the dad was depressed, he was drinking, the family was broken, everyone's sad, and the house just absorbs that energy. It's just a weird combination. Do you know what I mean? It was like my old apartment when I broke up with my ex, and that whatever it was punched BB or pushed BB in the night. So anyways, guys,
I really never heard that story before other than this clip right here. I really wish you would have went like more in detail with that one.
thank you so much for watching. If you haven't subscribed to this channel already, please do so. Thank you in advance. Take care, guys. You want to hear a TMI story. So I have a few things I want to tell you. The first part is gross. I'm not going to go into descriptive detail. So the first part is about the mystery multicolored underwear. This was grade 8. This is the same house where I heard the ghost starts. My best friend at the time, her and her brother were staying at her dad's, and he worked a lot and he had a girlfriend. Their parents were separated. So they were home alone a lot. So I was keeping her company because their house was haunted and it was creepy and cold all the time. So I would sleep at her house a lot. We would move the sofa in front of the fireplace where it was warm with a bowl of those little tangerine oranges or clementines and listen to like Led Zeppelin. She had a big bed, but I'm not one of those friends who likes to sleep with other girlfriends. I don't know what it is. I just don't like doing it. When I would sleep over...
Did she just say she had a big bed? Where she did right now, but in the last story, did she say she had a big bed or was it a smaller bed and that's why she slept in the dad's? Either way, she doesn't like to share a bed.
I would sleep on this little love seat in her room and she would sleep on the bed. But one morning, I was just waking up. You know when you're like...
The love seat wasn't in the story last time either.
Eyes are just half open like this. And I was looking at her, trying to wake up, and she was sleeping, and she rolled over on her stomach. Now her bed was against the wall, but there was a crack from the bed to the wall, like a little crack maybe this big. She rolled over on her stomach, and her head went face down, her nose, everything face down into this crack. I'm just laying there, thinking what an odd sleeping position, but anyway, all of a sudden, she scared the crap out of me. She jumps up as if she saw a ghost or a spider. She's like, rah! And the way she did it was really funny too, like, rah! Got up and was like, oh!
We got some more TMI here.
Oh my god, oh my god, oh my god, freaking out. So I start freaking out and I'm like, what, you know? She's like, oh my god, I can't. I'm like, what? She goes to the kitchen, she gets a broom, she takes the handle, starts fishing for something in the crack between the bed and the wall. And I'm like, what the hell? Finally, she pulls out the broom handle and on the very end, dangling there, was these turquoise colored Hanes Her Way underwear. Yeah, they weren't mine. They were very big and so they weren't hers. She was skinny as a pole. She's like, what is this?
Hanes Her Way.
What is that? She was flipping out. Maybe more than she should have been, but so she flings them in the middle of the floor. She goes and gets another utensil from the kitchen. I can't remember what. I think it was a turkey baster, actually. And she starts moving the underwear. The underwear had every color under the rainbow in them that you can imagine. You know, you find old underwear, there's probably a crap stain in them.
I really hope that they threw the turkey baster out. It seems like something can get in there that shouldn't. Some kind of contact transfer germs. Gross.
Or whatever. No, this had yellow, brown, red, green. It had green. All of the colors I previously mentioned, we could, you know, we could guess what that's from. I'm not gonna say, but green? No. We were trying to figure out whose underwear they were, and because they were bigger, she was thinking it was mine, and I was like, they're not mine, I swear. But we figured out that recently she had another sleepover, one of our mutual friends.
Imagine if it was Chantal and she's telling this story. I mean, like, it's not me, but it was. But it's not. Kind of assuming it's not since she's telling the story, though.
Also big. They must have been hers. Or maybe his brother had a girlfriend in her bed. I don't know. And that girl did sleep in the bed with my friend, so maybe they, you know, they maybe were hers. We figure they were hers. I can tell you right now, I never go shopping for underwear and think, gee, let's get the turquoise. So it wasn't me. You know I haven't grossed you out in a while, so I thought I needed to. Let's move on to the weird crush. It was like I just got crushes on dudes. I don't know where they came out of, you know, just, I don't know why, you know, just the weirdest reasons. Like I used to have a crush on the Ninja Turtles. Well, her brother, oh my goodness, he was a bit older than us. I think he was a grade older than us. He was really immature, always pick, they would fight bad. Oh my god, he would pick on her. And somehow that turn my thing. That was my thing. One night I'm sleeping over. He gets home from his friends, whatever, goes to the fridge, drinks half the carton of milk, says I'm going to bed, goes in his room. Well, we go to bed, and I could hear that he was up listening to music or whatever. So I got up to go to the bathroom, and I was like peering in his room, and he was up. And I'm very bold.
Yeah, you'll see that with her her love life. She is quite daring.
I will hit on a guy, I don't care, so I went in. He was more shy. I'm like, oh, I like that song, which I probably didn't. I don't remember exactly how things ended up, but I ended up in his bed. We were just laying there listening to music. I was maybe 14, so I wasn't old. So it's not like we did anything wild, but I just remember he was shy, but we kept awkwardly, none of us wanted to make that first kiss move, but our hormones were raging and we just kept inching closer and closer. We'd fidget and just inch closer and closer until our lips were touching, but we weren't making kissing moves. No, we had to just touch first, right? Then we started kissing and he got into it. Remember how I told you he had drank that half carton of milk earlier? So he had a really gigantic mouth and he just opened wide and hoovered my face, okay? And all I could taste was milk. Dairy, cow teat milk while he's hoovering my face. It was the most disgusting thing ever. But I was so happy that I was making out with him that I didn't care. It was just, oh my god. And the next morning, he was so shy and embarrassed. He came out with his shirt over his head. And I told his sister what happened. And she was making fun of him. Something fierce. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. So I said I was going to tell you guys about the time I was a stalker. Yeah, it was bad.
Okay, so this is a really, I don't even know what to say about this one. Chantal comes on strong when she has a target of her affection.
Younger, when I would crush on a guy, I would crush hard, I was psycho, Fatal Attraction. Two of my victims, I think I was about 14, was living at home, and up the street I had one of my best friends. Hung out at her house a lot. I really liked hanging out at her house because she lived across the street from his two brothers. They were twins, and I had the biggest hots for them. Back then I was really big into hair metal, and these two guys were gorgeous. They looked like they were right out of the Cinderella band, long hair, bit teased, denim, galore. And they must have had, their basement area was their party, jamming session area. And their basement window, we could see into it kind of from her front porch. So we'd be sitting on her front porch, just keeping tabs on what they were doing, trying to see in, listening to their jamming sessions. They were in a local band, and it was a pretty good band, alternative rock or whatever. So we'd sit there on her porch. Her mom had a little garden beside with chives. Out of boredom, she would take a chive and put them through her braces and then look at me. It was so funny. So whenever these two guys would go outside, they had a big husky dog named Chinook. So anytime they would go out to tend to their dog or do something, I'd be like, okay, there they are. We would act like I just said something funny kind of thing, and we would loudly giggle like a bunch of obnoxious freaks. These guys must have been in their late 20s, living at home with their parents in the basement. Normally people wouldn't find that attractive, but I didn't care. One day a light bulb went on and I thought, how can I get closer to them and, let them know I exist? In my delusional head back then, I was like, if they could just notice me, they would fall for me. I have cherry lip smacker lip gloss on. So one day I was walking by to go home from the mall up the street. I had to pass their house to get to mine. So they were outside petting the dog or whatever. I was like, oh my god, hi. I was like, your dog is so cute. And they're like, oh, do you want to pet her? She's friendly. So they let me pet the dog. After that, they're like, pet her as long as you want. You see her walking.
She was just trying to be nice to they were just trying to be nice to the weird kid.
Poor friend, I probably guilt tripped her. I was desperate. I said, please, on what they were doing, trying to see in, listening to their jamming sessions. They were in a local band, and it was a pretty good band,
Sorry, I lost the spot, so we're back.
Alternative rock or whatever. So we'd sit there on her porch. Her mom had a little garden beside with chives. Out of boredom, she would take a chive and put them through her braces and then look at me. It was so funny. So whenever these two guys would go outside, they had a big husky dog named Chinook. So anytime they would go out to tend to their dog or do something, I'd be like, okay, there they are. We would act like I just said something funny kind of thing, and we would loudly giggle like a bunch of obnoxious freaks. These guys must have been in their late 20s, living at home with their parents in the basement. thought, how can I get closer to them? And you know,
Chantal usually finds what people don't find attractive.
let them know I exist. In my delusional head back then, I was like, if they could just notice me, they would fall for me. I have cherry lip smacker lip gloss on. So one day I was walking by to go home from the mall up the street. I had to pass their house to get to mine. So they were outside petting the dog or whatever. I was like, oh my god, hi. I was like, your dog is so cute. And they're like, oh, do you want to pet her? You know, she's friendly. So they let me pet the dog. After that, they're like, pet her as long as you want. We're going to go inside. And when they said inside, I was like, I used to daydream about what that basement would be like. I would have given anything to get to hang out in that basement, you know? Even if it smelled like bachelor.
Yeah, could you imagine these like 20-some-year-olds just having like a 14-year-old hanging out in their basement? Yeah, I doubt that. Ugh.
I don't care. I wouldn't have given anything. But no, I was outside with the dog. So I used Chinook, you know, to get to them. I think even the dog was getting sick of seeing me. Tried to bite me one day. So I was like, okay, I need to be a bit more bold. So I started writing love letters. The first few times I forced my friend with the chive to go leave the note like inside the screen door of their house. So after a while, she grew a backbone and was like, fuck you, I'm not doing this anymore for you, you know? So I was forced to give the letters myself. So one day, as I'm going over with the note, I used to try to write things that made me sound like smart or something, you know, older than I was. I used to kiss the letters with like red lipstick, sprayed in this night perfume, and at the time I was wearing CK1 perfume, total 90s baby. As I'm bringing the letter over, this older man comes to the door as if he was seeing me. And he's like, listen, my sons don't want to have anything to do with you. Please do not come around here anymore. And I just remember being so like, my heart, everything sank. I was just like, whoa. I didn't know. I wanted to cry, you know, right then and there. I felt my eyes watering up, so I ran back across the street and get over to her porch and I start bawling. I was embarrassed and really sad. I mean, but my crush was so big, you know, that I thought, okay, he told me not to come to the door, but he didn't tell me not to pet the dog. So one day, at this point, my friend is just fed up with me. She's like, you know, you're crazy. What are you doing? I decided to try and pet the dog again. The dog doesn't even like me anymore at this point. So it starts growling when I get closer and barking. One of the twins came up because they must have been in the basement and heard the barking. And they're like, hey, we told you not to come around here. You know, like get lost, basically. He was really kind of rude about it. So I was like, oh my god, this is a nightmare. I have no chance now. He doesn't even like me. He needs to try a different lip smacker's lip gloss. No, I'm kidding. I was like, wow, you know, more crying. I don't even know how I eventually got over them. This is not where it ends. I figure, okay, I burned my bridges. They know me. They don't want me, you know? I was even considering putting on like a disguise and trying to come off as an older, sexy woman and try to seduce them. I was crazy. So I made...
All I can think of her in the Dee Dee wig. If you know, you know. Just trying to be someone else.
My poor friend, you know, I probably guilt tripped her. I was desperate. I said, please, can you just go knock at the door and just ask to talk to them? Just please, you know, just talk to them for 2 minutes. She actually did it. We went over. I can still picture her, poor thing, sheepishly knocking at the door, looking back like no one, you know, no one's answering. And go, just keep knocking. Finally, one of the guys comes up, long hair. I have a weakness for dudes with long hair. Always have, always will. I could see them talking. He looked like, you know, kind of annoyed. Like, what the fuck are these kids bugging me for? Like, this, just let me be your groupie. Whatever, I don't know what they said. She comes back over, shuts the door. What'd they say? It's like, Chantal, you really need to leave them alone. He said to tell you that if you come on their property again, they're gonna press charges for trespassing. I don't know if he realized how young I was. I don't know if he realized I was like 14. I think maybe they thought I was a bit older. I don't know if I could have been charged at that age. It might have been my parents. I don't know. Yeah, I was nuts. I don't know, man. I told you. Fatal attraction. I used to get these insane, stupid crushes. I used to have a huge crush, obsessive crush on Jonathan Taylor Thomas. Remember him? I had posters all over the wall of my basement when I was younger. And this is really, 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 I can't believe I'm admitting this in front of thousands of people, but there was this one poster in particular. And guess where he was looking particularly fine? He was holding a bouquet of roses. So I used to pretend I was his girlfriend, and I would make out with the poster. Like, for real. My first kiss was with paper. I made out with it so much that the mouth area was starting to fade, like the ink. My mom would get mad. Stop kissing your posters. You're weird. What are you doing? I don't know.
She did it so much her mom noticed and told her to stop. Oh man. It was a huge crush she had.
Like I said, issues. That was my stalker. Did I stalk anybody else? Because I know I had some insane crushes. Like, the hours we used to spend just sitting on her porch, trying to figure out the life that's going on in the basement, the life we wish we were part of, you know? Just wishing we were a bit older. And now, I wish I could be young again. Never happy. I guess that's it, guys. And I hope you enjoyed this video. And I hope you still want to be friends after you're watching this. Promise not to stalk you. Some of the shit I look back on that I've done, I'm just like, what the hell was I thinking? Anyway, we can't change the past or what we did in the past. You can only learn from it, right? I've learned through this that psycho stalker usually doesn't get the boy. So, bye guys. I think I have daddy issues. I had a crush on my 8th grade teacher.
She didn't learn that lesson at all.
Mr. Herchibes. This guy was balding, had chest hairs so long they were coming out of his collar, up his neck. He lived at home with his parents and his mom still made his lunches. I don't know why I had a crush on him. I don't know what it was. I think because he was nice. I think I was just missing that nice male figure in my life kind of thing, you know? I remember at the end of the year, this was grade 8, at the end of the year, you know, you're not going to ever go back to that school and ever see those classmates unless you go to high school with them, which I did some of them. So this one bad kid in our class, each class has that one kid that's just so delinquent. Well, I gotta tell you about him actually one day. Kindergarten to grade 8, he was just this delinquent kid. Information spread like wildfire that I had a crush on Mr. Herchibes. And he's like, I'm gonna tell Mr. Herchibes, I'm gonna yell it out at the end of the class. And I'm like, I can't stop him. He's gonna do it anyway. I'm like, can you at least wait till the bell rings at 3:15? He's like, fine. So right at 3:15, I get up and I bolt out the door towards the bus and hear him getting up and yelling, Mr. Herchibes, Chantal has a crush on you. So what? Back then it was a big deal. I had crushes on anybody and everything. I don't know why. I guess we learn as we grow up, don't we? I don't know if you guys remember the ice storm. I don't remember who was affected, but in 1998 there was like a huge ice storm. In my area, I remember everything shutting down. It was freezing rain. Back then, I wanted to go to school because I had a huge crush on my 8th grade teacher. He was a middle-aged balding man with Coke bottle glasses and a lot of chest hair. I don't know, I thought that was hot. And I remember when they announced that classes were going to be canceled. Or no, that was after. I think just before that, when the schools were still open, the buses were not running. My friend was staying over and she walked with me. It was like a skating rink outside. No joke. It took us a long time to walk to my school. We were the only ones there. Teacher was in the class. We walk in looking like we just survived a great tempest or something. He's like, oh, I didn't expect to see you here. I walked. I don't even know how many miles. In an ice storm just to see him. And he didn't even care. No. He's like, well, since no other students showed up, I mean, you're welcome to stay for a while. And what the hell's with carnies? Not all of them are sleazy, but the ones in my hometown were. I remember one. God. I was 14. For a 14-year-old, I was very precocious. Is that how you say it? I had a really nice body. Like, I was really well developed, not overweight. I was really pretty, not to toot my own horn. And I looked older than I was. So I got hit on by a lot of older men. One time, one of my babysitter's boyfriends actually hit on me too. That was weird. I remember getting to the carnival once. There was a game operator, and he had both arms on the game counter, and he was looking at me like, you know, give him the eye. And I remember Welcome to the Jungle by Guns N' Roses was playing while he was checking me out. And I was like, so every time I hear that song, I think of that sleazeball. He was probably like in his 40s. And I was like, do you want to go to jail? I'll put you there. Oh, yes, I will.
All right, so that was her younger years. Now we have a little bit, we have a few videos of her interacting with strangers, telling us those stories.
So I went to Costco the other day. It's always packed to the nines, like even no matter what time of day it is. Like every single person who's not working is at Costco. Never any parking. Somebody's always in the way, or you're always in the way of somebody. You gotta move your cart, and then the line at the cash is freaking ginormous. So the Costco has the best poutine ever. The Costco poutine has curds like this big sometimes. It's so good. They have the best chicken wings. Oh my god. I have no makeup on because I was busy all day. I take care of my grandmother. And we went grocery shopping. It was nice to see her. We had a really wonderful day. She was amazed because it rained really hard today. And on our way back, driving her home, huge rainbow. Like the most beautiful rainbow. This woman today almost lost it. I sometimes fly off the handle really quickly. You know, my temper flares up. As an Aries, I know that's something I have to work on. If you're an Aries and you have an easily triggered temper, let me know. And we also have low bullshit tolerance. So I'm really trying, when I feel myself getting irritated, I really am trying to just Take a deep breath. So my grandma lives in this building, and it's like a co-op building, so it's like mostly disabled and elderly people. And there's a lot of people that live there that are like in everyone's business. They're really protective of the building and what people are doing around the building, and you know what I mean? They're like the security guards. Anyway, there's this one lady, every time I go there, almost every time, she's gotta give me a dirty look, or she's gotta give me a problem with something that I'm doing. You have to wipe your boots. There's a sign. You have to wipe your boots before you go in the lobby. Or you shouldn't be walking on that grass. You shouldn't be walking on the grass. There's a sign. They're trying to grow the grass. And she has her little dog with her. It's like a miniature dog. So today, I pull up to grab my grandmother, and I'm in the loading zone. I'm loading my grandma in the car. Give me a break. She's disabled. And I don't park in the handicap zone. She does need to get a handicap sticker. So this time, I shouldn't have said anything. I really shouldn't have said anything. My grandma wasn't too happy that I did. So my grandma's getting in the car. I could see her looking at me like she wants to say something that I'm in the loading zone. I'm like, just, you know, keep walking your dog. Well, doesn't Miss Perfect Mary Poppins wannabe, her little miniature pincher, doesn't he go on the grass that's ready to grow, and there's flowers, and there's a sign, do not step on this area on the grass or whatever? Doesn't her miniature pincher, while she's looking at me, step right on the flowers and pinch a loaf, a big loaf? So while she's looking at me, I roll down my window and I'm like, your dog's taking a crap on the lawn where he's not supposed to. She was surprised, you know, she turns around. Yeah, you just worry about yourself there, you're not supposed to be parked here. She needs to get laid. People are just paranoid, and I don't know, they're grumpy. The lobby area and the outside area, it has a surveillance camera. And you know how like some buildings have that channel, that TV channel you can turn to, like channel 4 or whatever, and you can watch the lobby all day? She's one of those people. I know it. Because the minute I pull up, it's not long until after she's out there with her little pincher. All of the ones who are all have small dogs. I'm not saying there's a correlation, it's just an interesting observation. They probably sit there all day with their dogs, just staring, waiting for somebody to do something in the lobby to report it. Imagine working in that office, same people down all the time trying to fill out complaint reports over nothing. The other day, when I took my grandma grocery shopping to help her out, usually 1 to 2 times a week, there was a woman there who kind of freaked me out because she seemed really angry. And I get it. I don't know what was going on in her life. We're in the produce aisle. I was standing there waiting for my grandma to pick out tomatoes. Like, she's the kind of person that has to look at every single fruit or vegetable in the bag. I love her so much, but she does take her sweet time to pick out everything. I mean, like, even if there's like a little line of like brown, she won't get it on like one of the fruit. I'm like, Grandma, there's not going to be 8 perfect oranges in the bag. I'm like, it's not what's on the outside that counts, it's what's on the inside. Don't judge a fruit by its rind. Like, whatever. Don't judge a fruit by its peel. I don't know. Anyway, we're looking through the tomatoes or oranges or whatever. I didn't even notice. I just looked over for like a second. I wasn't staring. I looked over at this woman behind us who was looking through the head lettuce, iceberg lettuce. Our eyes caught, and I just made a smile at her. And she looked at me and she went, I was like, whoa. Okay, that's how it's gonna be. I was shocked, but I thought she might be disturbed. Just gonna ignore her. For the rest of the time she was in the produce aisle after that, I don't know what I did. Probably thought I was laughing at her. Took the head lettuce and threw it in her cart all hard. And then she took like a lemon and shot it in her cart. And my grandma, I'm trying to be quiet, but she kind of said it loud. She's like, I think there's something wrong with that lady. I'm like, she's gonna hear you. She's gonna kill us. And when I told my boyfriend this story, he's like, what did you say, babe?
Why everybody scared when someone freaks out?
He's like, why is everyone scared when someone freaks out? I'm like, because she could stab us. And he's like, what would she stab you with in the grocery store? I'm like, I don't know, carrot. Like, what? Is there anything sharp in a grocery store she could stab us with, though? She could club us with a kielbasa sausage or something. I don't know. Who knows? She could just punch me out, plain and simple. Or my grandma, which... you don't mess with my grams. You have a process when you go through a grocery store. You start at the produce, then you kind of go around to the meat, and then you go in the aisles or whatever. She was following the same pattern as us. So the whole rest of the time we're in the store, I'm like trying to avoid. My grandma needed Q-tips. She was in the beauty aisle. The woman went down there too. She was buying baby food, and she was still like grunting to herself, like, you know, she was making like weird noises anyway. I'm never leaving my house again. Let me just... When you are driving around a bigger city, just going anywhere is a pain in the ass. Let me tell you about my little outing just to go get this food, okay? Yeah, so I wanted to make my own.
Oh, man. Yeah, she's got a couple grandma stories because she's taken her grandmother out, so she's got a few of those. And then she's got a few where she's waiting in line. This is one of those times.
But it's just been so hectic the last few days. Really didn't have time. It's kind of in a hurry and I'm hungry and I have no bra. I get to the restaurant, I walk inside and I'm like, good, there's no one here. Should be a simple transaction. But I walk into the store braless wonder. Like, I don't want to be there long. You know, boobs are swaying. I don't want to be interacting with anybody. Walk around to the counter. There's this woman at the cash. She's talking to this elderly man. And I'm like, okay, they're just finishing up a transaction. Nope. He's standing there talking. He's like moving his hat. He's like, me there, I grow my tomatoes there. I use the rainwater. I don't, you know, I use organic rainwater. Organic rainwater. What the f is that? He shifts his leg. I'm like, don't be shifting your leg. I need to get my stuff and get out of there. I try to have patience. They were talking for like, you know, and they knew I was standing behind him waiting. He's like, anyway, it's nice to meet you there. My name is Frank. And I'm like, see you later, Frank. They kept talking, like he kept going on and on about, yeah, I supplied meat there for the festival and all this other, I don't know. I mean, he seemed like a nice guy, so I don't want to, you know, hate on him. But I'm standing behind him, my boobs in the free, and of course I'm self-conscious. She's talking to him, but she kept looking over at me, and it looked like she was looking at my chest, and she's probably thinking, oh Lord, wear a bra, lady. Maybe she wasn't thinking that, I don't know. So I'm driving home. I'm at a stop. I go to turn. The traffic's going straight. The light's green. I get into a turning lane. I start merging to turn on a yellow if I need to, because there's no turning light there. You know how you do that, right? So the people coming this way, if you're going this way, they don't have the right of way. This
She gets pretty frustrated with the driving too.
little older woman, little frail thing, starts walking across, and she comes right to my car, and of course I'm jutting out, right, so she can't pass, but it's not even her right of way. She has a banana and a Yoplait yogurt, and she's with her banana pointing at me, and she's like, hey là, hey, pousse-toi, like move. And I'm just looking at her like dumbfounded, like, is she serious? Like, I couldn't tell. So she starts waving her banana at me, and I'm thinking, whoa, you and your banana need to move back a few inches. I roll down my window. I'm like, c'est quoi le problème là? You know? Vous avez pas le droit d'y aller. Attends. Basically said, like, you don't have the right to go. Like, wait your turn, you know? You're gonna get run over. Anyway, she started cursing at me, and I'm just like, what is wrong with people? Oh my god. That's why I don't like going out. The thought of these weird interactions with people give me anxiety. And BB is so the opposite. He's so calm whenever we go out. And I feel bad because the other day I was driving him to work in the morning on barely any sleep. It was really early. I don't think I even slept. It's very dangerous to do that. Don't do it. I'm telling you. I could function, but I was tired. My reactions were not up to par because I was tired, and I was bitchy. So I'm driving him. I'm going down the street and I'm slowing down a bit. The light was red, so I'm slowing down, but I didn't see in time that the light had turned green, so I wasn't going right away. So this woman in an Audi behind me, she starts beeping at me. Whoa, calm your nerves. Early in the morning, you hate your job and you're bitchy about it, but give it a rest. So I don't know about you guys, but when someone beeps at me, it just like, oh, I get to the lights and she looks over with her coffee and she's just like, you know, and I'm, what the fuck? I think that I'm put in those situations to test my patience. Having patience is one of the things that I need to work on. In situations like that, I get too easily worked up and I need to just relax. It's not good to get worked up like that, but oh my god, it's hard. I can be the nicest person, but when my patience is tried. Hi, Foodie Beauties! That's obnoxious. Hi, Sammy. While I was driving around, I had to go get rice. There was a cab driver behind me, okay? And I was doing like maybe five above the speed limit, you know, suburban area. This asshole, pardon my language, cabbie behind me starts riding my ass. I hate when people do that. Kind of petty of me, but I slow down. So I was doing just the speed limit. Oh boy. There was no one in the car with him. Maybe he was going to pick someone up, but still, don't be such a jerk, you know? We finally get to a spot where he could pass me, so he passes me. And as he's passing me, flips me the bird. And that reminded me of this cab ride I had from hell. I don't know if I was gonna get murdered or what. Years ago.
Oh man. This one starts off as like I think she says Craigslist, but anyway, she goes and picks up some furniture from this guy and turns out to be her cab driver later, and he's well, she'll tell you about him.
When I had my first apartment with my ex, we didn't have much money. I was looking for furniture on Kijiji and I saw an ad for a coffee table for $10. It was like kind of ugly, like really ugly. It was like old in the picture. It was like a huge, solid, square thing, all mirrored, but it really looked tacky, the way the mirror design was. Very outdated and tacky, but I thought, hey, it's a coffee table. I had to call, so I called. This woman answers. It sounded like an elderly woman. Made arrangements to go pick it up with my mom. They lived out in the boonies, so my mom was like, kind of complaining about that, but came with me. We get there. I swear it's like Texas Chainsaw or Deliverance. It was like your typical country house with the porch and really rundown house. And an elderly woman comes to the door, kind of hunched over. She had this like walker thing. She was like, you know, come on inside. We'll show you the coffee table. It's very heavy, so I'll have my son help you. The son had a pickup truck. Like, you know, we didn't even think of this stuff. We only had my mom's car. You can't put the table in there. It was very big. I don't know if she was like a mama's boy or what. They had... The son, when I seen this son for the first time, he was at the kitchen table, he gets up, he had this look, constant look on his face, like serial killer look. I hide cheerleaders in my basement kind of look. He was rough looking, very, very, very big guy. Over 300 pounds, probably about 450. Oh man, scruffy, dirty looking, gut hanging out, crack hanging out, the nines, you know. Don't judge a book by its cover, but book covers don't look like they're going to kill you and stuff you in the basement. He never said a single word. He just grunts like... He loads the coffee table. We all help him into the back of his pickup truck. We ended up giving them $20 because of the help that they gave us. Brings it to my new apartment. Doesn't say anything. Grunts, leaves. In the subsequent months after, this is before I had a car. Oh man, in life before a car, I'm so thankful for my car. I'm not... Some people have no problem taking the bus. Some people... I have bus horror stories, okay? I mean, walking, yes, but you can't walk with a case of water or like 10 bags of groceries, you know? So anyways, I'm just thankful for my car. I paid a shit ton of money for it, but it's worth it. Especially when I think of this cab, having to take the cab. I got a ride from my mom to the grocery store in my hometown, and I was going to take a cab home. Call a cab. I had to wait forever. I wasn't surprised. Nothing new. Cab pulls up, put my grocery bags in the back seat, door open the front to get in. I'm one of those people that sit in the front in a cab. I hate the back seat. I get car sick. I sit down, close the door. Finally, I look over at the cabbie to tell him where I'm going, and to my horror, it's the friggin' serial killer son. I don't know if he's a serial killer, but you know how some people just have like a serial killer look? Although, look at Ted Bundy. He was a serial killer and he didn't look like one. I guess he looked like what your stereotypical messed up person would look like. So I'm like, oh shit, you know? And I'm thinking, you know, I can't really waited forever for this cab. They hired him. He must be sane, right? I mean, I can't picture him getting through an interview just grunting. Or maybe he hailed a cab, killed the driver, and the driver's in the trunk. I'm thinking of all these things. So he's just sitting there too, like... Can't even do it, but like... Same grumpy face. Give him my address. Oh my god. Shitting my pants the whole time. Scared. Whenever you're like in a situation like that, like I was looking at like the doors, like would it be easy to jump out? Do they have the child lock? So we start driving, gets out of the parking lot, goes down the street. Now to get to my place, the fastest way would be to turn. And at that intersection, he just kept going straight, which if you keep going straight, it's not really in the direction of my place. And it's taking you towards the outskirts of my town. My heart started beating and like my head, it was pounding and I was like, holy f***, like, you know, I just felt like the adrenaline. So I'm like, oh my god, what do I do, you know? And I was like, normally I take a different way. I'm like, it's kind of a longer way, you know? Now, his reaction was to speed up. Now, I don't know if he was speeding up because he thought, well, if this is a longer way, I'll go faster so she doesn't have to pay as much, or is he thinking, you know, he's taking me to the woods. So he starts speeding up, and I must have a guardian angel. I don't know what would have happened if this hadn't happened, what happened next. He ends up going through a red light. He went through the yellow, and it turned red when he should have stopped. So he's going fast, and it seemed like out of nowhere, I swear. I didn't see any other cars around, but I was too scared maybe to pay attention, I guess. And at this point, I think the car would have been going too fast for me to jump out, but I probably would have still done it. I would risk the broken ribs. Right behind us, lights flashing, the angelic sounds of the sirens blaring, a cop car. And he's like, like grunting and looking in the rearview mirror. Pulls over, thank goodness. And the cop comes. It's like this young, hot. I remember him being hot. Looks in the back at me. Looks at the cab driver. What are you doing? He was kind of cocky too, eh? Hi, baby girl. How are you? Everybody say hi to baby Judes. The cop is like really mean to him, and the guy is just like not saying anything yet. He's like, you ran a red light and you're speeding. And he's like, give me your license and all that other shit. I don't really. He was yelling at him about something. I don't know if the cop could see how scared I was in my eyes or like, you know, uncomfortable looking, but he offered to give me a ride home. I know they're probably not supposed to do that, but I'm from a small town, and I have been given rides by cops before when my friends have had alcohol poisoning and I had to go to the hospital. It was kind of my fault. I mean, I didn't make them take the tequila shots, but I heavily suggested it. No. Anyways, that's another story time. So I took my groceries, put them in the back of the cop car. Now I'm claustrophobic, so the back of a cop car is frightening for me because there's no handles on the inside, like you can't get out. Cop was so nice. Oh my god. So that guy got in a lot of shit. I'm sure he got fired because, you know, he got a pretty hefty ticket. I don't even remember what happened to him. Rescued by a cop. So he drove me home. I don't think I heard the cab driver even talk to the cop, maybe grunt something under his breath. You know, he just sat there with the same grumpy face. He was very strange. I don't know if what was wrong with him, but how he got a job is beyond me, you know, especially with trusting people's lives. Maybe he was a really nice guy. Maybe I was just being judgmental for nothing, but I mean, maybe he was just taking another way home. I don't know. When your gut tells you something, you know? So anyways, guys, that was my weird cab experience. The people begging for money coming up to your car are getting more and more aggressive. One woman, oh my god, she comes up to my car, like right at the window. Please, can I have some spare change for coffee? And the only thing I could think was, this woman is really fucking high. And then, you know what? I gave her $10 because I thought, you know what? Who the hell am I to judge? I'm going to Popeyes to feed my addiction. Here's $10 for yours. Or maybe she really did want coffee, and with $10 you can afford Starbucks. Get a Frappuccino, a Venti. No $2 Tim Hortons coffee for you. There's a guy walking by. Watch. I look like he was coming towards my car on that side. That's why I look around, because people are gonna be like, there's a chick eating in her car talking to herself. It's not the eating in the car that's embarrassing, it's the talking to yourself that's embarrassing. But whatever. Okay, so tomorrow's another day. Thank you for watching this. I'll see you tomorrow. Anyways. I was driving to the pet food store to get some cat food, and I drove by this little parking lot, and the parking lot had like a fence in front of it. The fence was lined with shrubs. In my peripheral vision, I saw like movement, so I looked quickly. I see this older guy. He was in a squatting position. He was getting up, looked like he was pulling his pants up, and he had a little white plastic baggie, and there was like liquidy brown stuff in the bag. I think I saw him. He was having his shit in the bush. You gotta go, I guess, eh? I just had to tell you that. I'm in a hotel parking lot because it's well lit. It has video surveillance. The front desk person is probably like, what the hell is this girl doing? Talking to herself. Well, excuse me. I need your parking lot for my video, okay?
Uh-oh. What's happening? She's acting so strange.
Oh my god, you guys. I had to move. It's a bit darker. I'm sorry. So basically what happened was his car pulls up right behind my car, blocking me in. And this crazy drunk girl, like who gets drunk on a Tuesday night? It was a hotel parking lot, but in the shortest skirt I've ever seen, gets out. They start arguing like loudly. And I'm just like, oh my god. I'm here like my putin is getting cold and I'm just like, what the hell? Go fight in your room. Do you have to fight right directly in back of my car on a Tuesday?
Hot tea. I'm glad you're still here. Yeah, that's quite the story.
Tuesday at 2:30 in the morning. What's your problem?
What a sight to see.
My dark side. I finally started making like I was gonna back up, and nothing. They were still, they got back in the car eventually. Could hear them yelling, I could hear phones ringing, I don't know. The windows were very darkly tinted, so then I just had to beat my horn, like get out of the way, you know? Move, bitch, get out of the way! Sometimes if your car idling remotely in a deserted area, you know, a cop will come up and be like, what are you doing this evening, ma'am? I'm stuffing my face, can you leave me alone, please? Give me a ticket, just get out of here! My putin's getting cold! You can sort of see some bush behind me, right? Well, right behind me is a walking trail that I used to go on. Well, it has like information about the trail, what kind of wildlife you'll find, things of that nature. However, there was also a sign.
Another ghost story.
That said that particular area of the trail was reportedly haunted by the ghost of two lovers who could not be together for whatever reason. I don't remember. I think one of them had an angry dad. When I saw that and I was by myself, I was like, well, I mean, you know how I love ghosts. If I'm with other people, whatever. If I'm by myself, I'm the biggest. But it was
Anxious Potato, it's good to see you. I totally agree. So much easier to watch the story times than it is like the live streams that she does.
It's daytime. I started walking to another part of the trail. Whatever, it's daytime. You need to get your walk in. So something weird happened, kind of creepy. I was completely alone on the trail. Occasionally a jogger would go by or someone on a bike, but very rarely. So the way it was is there's one trail going this way and then there's another parallel trail. Both trails are separated by this big middle forested area. Now it was mostly quiet, maybe the odd bug or bird or something, you know. You could tell the difference between the rustling of like a bug or a small rodent and like a human or non-human. What happened was I all of a sudden heard what sounded like somebody walking through the wooded area, walking around there. And I could kind of hear like breathing, like somebody was walking and breathing through the wooded area. So I stopped. Now, if I had my music on, see, I always forget to bring my music, my earphones, even at the gym. So I'm usually stuck watching like one of the TVs with no volume. So I froze to listen. What do? Do I start running away? The way it sounded, they were cutting through the bush or something. It looked really thick, wouldn't be very easy to do. So the noise was getting closer, breathing, I could hear it more, like they were coming towards my trail. And right when they were really close, it just kind of stopped. And that was it. And I was like, are they going to emerge? What's going on here? No one ever came out of the bush. Didn't hear the noise after that. Didn't see anyone the whole way back to my car. So I don't know, that was creepy.
Maybe they were doing what she does in bushes. Just like she saw the guy, the other story, what he was doing in the bushes.
Creepy. Never go near your nose when you're in your car, because somebody is watching. I was driving along, and I looked around quick, make sure no one saw me. I had a scratchy nose, an itchy nose. No one is watching, but people are still going to think I'm picking my nose. I don't know why I care, but anyway. I looked around, nobody. I swear nobody. But of course, the minute I go like that, I look, and there's a van came out of nowhere, pulled up right beside me at the light, and there was a little girl just looking over, like, staring at me. Like, don't pretend, little girl, that you don't do it. You probably wiped them on your teddy bears. Oh my gosh. Keep fixing to tell you guys about something weird that happened to my grandma and I. I picked her up the other day, and she hadn't had breakfast. She wanted to stop at Starbucks. And I'm like, shall I, shan't I? Shall I, shan't I? You know, there's a lot of sugar in Starbucks. You can get sugar free, but where the hell is the fun in that? So we stop at a Starbucks. What I love about Starbucks is the non-dairy options. Like Tim Hortons, they don't have that. Starbucks has like all of the non-dairy options as far as I know. So I ordered a vanilla latte with coconut milk and it was really good. We get back to the car and we're in the parking lot. And this woman is at my car and she's kicking at it. And I'm like thinking, oh my God, am I gonna have to like fight this woman? Like, what am I gonna, what? All these like, you know when you're confronted with something like that? All these scenarios start running through your
She's always running into someone doing some kind of weird thing while she's out taking her grandmother to do her shopping.
her head. When we got closer, I saw that she was kicking the ice and snow from around my tires. I was just weirded out. Who does that? I guess it's a nice gesture, but at the same time I was kind of mad because I like kicking the ice and snow away. Just cutting my graft. You know, I let it build up for a reason. I don't know about you guys, but there's something so satisfying about kicking those big chunks of ice and snow that develop around your tires. Kicking them off and then watching the whole chunk fall. I love it. So I got in my car and I was just like, thank you, you know. She went around doing it to other cars in the parking lot. I don't know, maybe she had like an obsessive compulsive about it, you know what I mean? Or she was just trying to be nice. That's the first time I've encountered that, and you know how I like telling you guys about weird things I encounter. I guess weird by just like weird to me, but that I've never experienced them, you know what I mean? So there's a city bus strike in my town. I drove 3 people to work this morning. My boyfriend, because I needed the car today, otherwise he would take the car, but I took my best friend, Rena. I took her because she needs to pick up a laptop so she can work from home whenever there's a bus strike. So I took her. And then this lady, she knocks on my window when I'm just sitting there. She was so desperate. She's like, please, I have no way to get to work. The cabs are all busy. And it wasn't far. So I'm like, yeah, sure. She was very religious. She was Catholic, so she kept repeating, if you ask for help from God, he will hear you. You're my guardian angel. So I was like, really? And I mean, I don't mind people that are religious. It doesn't bother me whatsoever. A lot of people ruin it. They use religion to justify violence and horrific behavior when really the motive is probably economic or political. Anyway, that's a touchy subject. Kind of too touchy for a mukbang. I had a smoothie today. I have at least 1 to 2 smoothies a day. And I went to this grocery store. The big excitement is going grocery shopping. I take her out to do groceries, do errands and things like that, you know? And she wanted me to research a nice grocery store. She's sick of the grocery stores that we go to, that she finds the produce is crummy. So we go to the Real Canadian Superstore in Orleans. Huge, huge. Biggest store I've ever been to. But they had this huge section of frozen fruits and veggies, $4, and like no sugar added, like high quality stuff. So I got a couple bags of mixed greens because that's my favorite, adding it to like brown rice or whatever. Collard greens, kale, spinach mixed, and I got like a whole bunch of friggin' frozen fruit, like melanges. How do you say that in English? Melange. Anyway, mix. I had banana, strawberry, and peach, mango, pineapple, and they had avocado chunks frozen. Like you need avocado in your smoothie, and like, you know, and banana to make it like creamy. On my way here, I had to look twice because the car beside me, I thought it was Cher in the passenger side. You know Cher when she was in the movie, is it Moonlight or Moonlighting? I don't know. I can't remember the name, but had really nice big hair. I'm jealous of anyone with big hair. Obviously, because I have thin hair. Turns out I'm even jealous of poodles because they have puffy hair. Is there like such thing as a mix between a Labrador and a poodle? Because I think that's what it was. It was big, huge, brown poodle, big hair and long ears. So it looked like Cher at first because of the hair. Cher's hair, it rhymes. I was in the grocery store today, Walmart.
fart. My favorite. This little girl, cutest thing ever. I'm in the frozen section. She has this big box of like chicken nuggets, and she puts it in my cart. The dad was like, "No, no, no, Jesus Christ!" Like screamed. I was like, "Calm down. It's not a big deal." I said that to him like it's not a big deal. I took the box out, gave it to her, and I said, "Put it in that cart, sweetheart." And she did. Maybe he was just super stressed out because I'm sure taking young ones shopping at Walmart is not fun.
Has this ever happened to you? Someone like mistakenly texts you? It's like a wrong number but a wrong text. Today's day and age where everything is texting, that's bound to happen, right? Some people must be so lonely. It's actually sad. I get a random text today from a number I don't recognize, and it was like, "Hey Kendra, it's me, Phil." And I was like, what the hell? I'm like, wrong text. So I reply because it's good. You know, you want to let people know. Otherwise, he would just be assuming that Kendra doesn't want to have anything to do with him. So I said, "Hey Phil, sorry, but you have the wrong number." And then a few minutes later, he texts back, "Well, thank you." He's like, "Are you female? Maybe we could take advantage of this mistake. Or let's not say we did."
Okay, so do you think she would have answered back if she was with BB? She's not with, or sorry, she was with BB at this point. So if she was not with BB, do you think she would have maybe see what this guy was up to?
What the hell? I just replied, "LOL, thanks, but I have a boyfriend." This guy's thirsty. He started out texting Kendra, and now he's after me? No, I didn't start a love affair with Phil. Probably what you're thinking. I don't even know who Phil is. I have a fart story.
I'm really silly when I laugh at farts. Especially public duck-sounding fart. I could tell I'm becoming a YouTuber because the first thing I thought was I have to run home and tell everybody. I'm in the store. I'm standing at the deli counter. You have to take a number, wait your turn, and then the worker will call your number. There's a man wearing this Metallica t-shirt. I don't know his age. Maybe middle-aged. I was staring at him. I really like that t-shirt, and he's getting served. And then all of a sudden, I thought it was a duck. It was a fart. He farted!
There's a counter, kind of like Subway, where you pick what you want in your sandwich. I endured a huge lineup. People were kind of close together, and I was getting anxiety. One guy kept touching me with his...
I wonder if Phil was the first person she messaged when she thought, "All right, I'm ready to go back out into the world after BB."
Off elbow, and it kept getting caught on my shirt. And we're just standing there. All of a sudden, I got a whiff. It was a silent fart. But when you get that whiff, immediately you just look around like, who did it? You're looking for someone to blame. It wasn't me. As it passed down the line, people were looking around and looking at me like, was it you? Guys, it smelled, this is gonna be gross, so if you're eating, I'm sorry, I love you. It smelled like an old, rancid, found in your locker like a couple weeks later, bologna and cheese sandwich. I had time to analyze. You could tell everyone was smelling it and like, you know.
Heard other people, they just let it rip and don't say anything. My grandma says she does that because she doesn't want to acknowledge it. She finds it rude. But come on, if you're gonna let a ripper out, I mean, it's either that or people think there's a duck running loose in the store. You need to take ownership of your toots, people, okay? I'm just staring at him like waiting for him to say excuse me or take ownership of the fart, but no, he didn't. So I just, ignored it. He didn't say anything either. And the other lady that was standing, she had her arms crossed in front of her and she was just like looking at the counter, looked impatient. Her face went from grumpy to like shocked. When I go grocery shopping, I find everybody looks crabby. A lot of people just look like, I don't want to be here, I just want to get my groceries, get out of my way. This woman looked like that.
It would be so funny if one day when that happens, somebody just says screw social manners and was just like, who farted? I think it was the guy in front of me, just by the direction of the smell.
Babe, I'm just wondering what you would do. Like, would you have laughed inside? Like, would you find that funny, or would you just be like, whatever?
If it doesn't say something, people will be like, whatever.
No, but just hearing the noise, would you have laughed inside?
Well, yeah, it happened before.
It happened to you?
Well, I was with some workers doing a store. One of them just fall, let it go, like laughing. Nobody said anything. I didn't say anything.
Chowing down on that bread. It looks so chewy.
Okay, but if you burp loud and you don't say excuse me, somebody's gonna think it's rude. Anyways, I just thought that was funny. Poor guy. I mean, he must have been
I call that stuff more fresh than the other stuff on the bologna sandwich.
embarrassed, so yeah.
Some people do it, they don't care.
No, some people don't care. It's a part of life, we all do it. It's just funny.
I don't know how I got on this topic, but I always have a fart story for you guys.
Is that how you tell when you've matured, when you stop laughing at fart?
Yeah, I'm almost at the store. I'm gonna have to beeline to a bathroom. I need to pee. I'm back. The bathroom.
Alright, so I think this is our last story. The TMI, it's a pretty funny one, but Let's go.
Was up a bunch of stairs, so went up to the bathroom. I had to go number 2 so bad, okay? And there were people in there. There was like a cooking event upstairs, class going on. There's a gym up there. And I don't know if they all use the same bathroom, but there were women getting ready, and like one girl had all her makeup out, and I'm just like, oh my God. You have to go number 2, and there's people in the bathroom, you wait, you know? If they look like they're gonna hurry, if they're just going pee and they hurry and get out. But no, this woman had all her makeup out, putting her blush on, and I'm like, lady, like I'm gonna crap in my pants. So anyway, I had to go. So thankfully there was like music playing. There was like Rod Stewart, If You Think I'm Sexy kind of song going on. But it was like an elevator version with no lyrics. But I could recognize that it was the song because it was like so I'm lucky there was a bit of music, so I just kept flushing, hoping that no one heard me. Whatever, you gotta go, you gotta go. Wouldn't be my video if I didn't talk about my bathroom habits.
That's it. Alright, so hopefully you learned something new about Chantal. She had a pretty interesting childhood. Got lots of more stories in my collection here that I put together. The next one that we'll do is the teen years. And then I have a couple other like categories that I can throw in on the end, like I did with this, where she's interacting with strangers in public. Oh man. Yeah, awful lot of bathroom stories. I think the worst one was probably the ski trip. That was really sad. That would be such a horrible situation to be in. Alright, so comment down below which is the funniest story. What's your funniest moment in this whole video? Ugh. Thank you, Hot Tea and Anxious Potato, for hanging out in the chat. I love seeing the familiar names in the comments and in the chats. Alright, well you guys have a good day, night, evening.